See what happens.
I'm gonna have to make sure that I don't feed the stream back. Infinite stream feedback, which could be quite cool.
Yes, I think we are actually live now. Yes. Can you hear us in the chat? Live on Humansynthetics. Mr. Ned Rush. Hi, Ned Rush. How are you? Welcome to this video. And what's this video about?
I'm just looking at the chat. A couple of people I recognise, some people I have no idea who they are.
Cool. Yeah, I think we might just do a quick sound check if that's all right, everyone. I might just play something, right? So you can all hear that, and you can probably hear a little echo coming from Ned's device as well.
Well, you should, yeah. Well, we'll work that out as we go, but I think maybe there should not be that.
There should be no echo. Maybe play again.
I can hear it. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear an echo?
Yeah, I can hear an echo. Heard. Thank you, M. Appleman. Yeah, so we logged on about half an hour ago and since then we've had a plethora of of trial and error and tinkering to try and get audio from two separate computer systems into another computer system and out to YouTube, which is harder than you think. And then for us to be able to monitor it and kind of hear, you can hear the echo.
I think I know what I did wrong. I think it. So can you play your video again?
Run it. 1 2 1 2.
Okay.
Yes, touch of echo there. I mean, maybe we can use that to our advantage. This is what people came for, I think, though, stuff like this, really.
All right, well,
we'll just run with it. Don't worry. But I mean, I think people can hear. At least people here can hear us both talking, can't they? So I think we're good. Yeah. So thank you very much, Ned, for making the time to be on my live stream. And
cool. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so like I was kind of like it's kind of surprised me the way things have gone since starting streaming last year, that they're like to kind of connect with you and your audience, because it's kind of the reason why I started doing all this in the first place anyway. So it seems like a bit like it's eating itself now, if you know what I mean. Like that we've linked up, and yeah, I did the more Kicks and Friends thing the other week, which was really good. And yeah, so the people that are on at the moment, we Ned and I did kind of list some topics and stuff we might want to cover, but then we're also we're both fans of improvising and kind of seeing where things go. And before we started the call, we started to get into a bit of breaks, didn't we, about like square pressure breaks and stuff. Because one of the things that I noted down was red hot car drums, and we were just talking about that briefly, weren't we? From the square pressure track, My Red Hot Car. Can you hear me? You can hear me still, can't you?
Yeah.
Cool. So good. So yeah, we were talking about like, because I was trying to nail some of that stuff on stream with the breaks in that, and we were both saying that we think there is definitely some swing on the amens when they kind of chop in at points, and you kind of agree with me, Ned, that is happening at some point.
Yeah, certainly in like in the kind of the pop part of the track. And then there's that sort of mentalist bit in the middle where it all goes. And that's probably a little bit more straight, I think. But yeah, we were saying earlier that it was kind of a bit of a garage piss take pastiche, like an affectionate piss take of garage.
Yeah.
Right. 2001, and garage was everywhere in 2001.
Yeah, so like, and that like, because you pinged me over that Max for Live device as well, with the kind of gated effects on it.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know anything about? Have you read anywhere about him using things like? I know that he's written about using DSP and stuff like that. I don't know, probably in Max. Do you think to get the like same as you do?
I think probably around that time it was Eventide rack mount units.
Right.
Yeah.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually uploaded an interview with him and Keith Fullerton Whitman to my YouTube channel years ago, which I somehow found on.
Yeah, I listened to all of that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great interview, and it's just about before he's going to go and play Coachella in America. So it's 2001.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just like, it's just all. There's no computers at all. It's all Eventide rack mount units, and I think the Yamaha QY700 sequencer to do sequencing, and trying to think I think it was the Akai S5000. I'm not very good with Akai samplers.
Yeah.
Akai S5000 or S3000 sampler maybe at the time. So I'm a nerd for that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like me too, because I don't really like. I've only ever made electronic stuff with computers. And it must be the same for you, no? Were you making it with hardware back then? Were you making it then? When did you start? When did you start producing stuff like that with electronic music?
Probably around about 2000, 99, and it was all on computers with Fruity Loops and Cool Edit. And they were both like pirated. They were pirated. And then I kind of thought, I probably should like get into hardware. So I got like the Korg Electribe S sampler and a Korg D8 digital 8-track.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I was like, no, I want to use a computer. So I went right back to the computer. So I've been on the computer ever since, really.
Yeah. So I'm just checking in on the comments that like UK DJ drums. Is my mic a bit better now? Is my mic test one? That looks like the level's okay.
Link to interview, please. I could probably do that.
To the Keith Fullerton one.
Yeah,
it's really good. I remember listening to that and thinking how nice the voices sounded on the phone lines, like how crisp voices that come through a phone receiver sound sometimes, how nicely compressed they are. Mic is good. There we go. Test one. We're good.
I post another YouTube video in the chat.
Yeah.
YouTube let you do that?
It does. Yeah, go ahead. So thank you. Good. I'm glad we're all good. So if there's if anyone has any questions at any point to either me or Ned Rush, please put them in the chat, and that'd be great. So I don't know if one thing we said we might talk about is like or that I would love to pick your brains on is creative process stuff and how does it happen for you when you make music? Is there because you said you don't make music every day and it's quite sporadic.
Yeah.
What does it look like at the moment?
Well, I mean, you've picked a good time to ask me because I was actually like working on something last night, way into the late hours, and it was crap. It was crap. I'm always dreading like opening up the session to listen to what I was trying to do. But I mean, I'm working on some stuff at the moment, and I'm quite determined to that they've got something I'm working towards in terms of the feel and the sound of it. And that's actually a lot harder for me because I can pontificate for way too long. Like, am I kind of at that sound? Yeah. Have I got that? Is it hitting it for me? And if it doesn't, then I can like very quickly kind of get a little bit disenchanted and abandon it, and then leave it for a week or months, and then come back and then have another go, and then whereas like like stuff that I put on Patreon, like I try and put stuff on Patreon like quite regularly. That's more like a kind of tinkering thing and more sort of like, this doesn't necessarily have any kind of musical identity for me, but it's kind of quite a nice idea. So I can come up with like ideas quite quickly, but it's hard to find something that that kind of makes me go, oh shit, this is like this is really going to be the thing, you know. And I've got like a kind of database in my brain of like ideas, but they've been kind of marinating in my brain for so long that like I almost kind of can't realize them because I'm so sort of set on them sounding a certain way or having a certain type of vision, I suppose. That if I can't get that, if I can't nail that in the session, then I'm kind of like, oh, fuck it.
do you think you can know that when you're doing it? Like, do you think you can tell you're onto that thing you're after when you're actually making the music?
Yeah, sometimes like there's definitely it's like, and that's normally when the process is really fast, because it's just like, well, this is almost kind of writing itself. And sometimes you find those things, you stumble upon those things whilst you're playing about with things, and you go, oh, this is really good, and then it kind of goes from there. But when you kind of go into something with kind of like an idea of like, I've got this idea in my head and I want this to happen, I want it to sound like this, then you're kind of like chasing after that. And if it doesn't appear that quickly, it can be very easy to go, what am I doing?
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No. I was just going to say, like, with that, like, I kind of like almost sort of don't make music that often. Like I almost sort of like want to make music when I'm certain that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, so, but you know, one thing I always say is that like, you know, you don't necessarily have to make music to make music. You can sit down and just play around with hi-hat samples or filters for like hours, and like, all right, it might not amount to anything, but it all goes into your brain and it all leads towards you being able to execute what you want to do when those moments come, when you're like, right, I need to do this now. So there's kind of like, there's no wasted time at the desk. That's what I always like to think, is like, even if you have a crap session, in some ways that's probably better than when it goes well, because you probably, or I certainly feel like I learn more from the bad things. I learn more from you because, well, partly because you learn from your mistakes, but also I puzzle over when things go badly more than I do when they just feel effortless and kind of, I don't know, it's almost like the problems lead to the breakthroughs, if you know what I mean. Yeah, like, you know, you've got to reflect on if you work on something and it's kind of not really hitting it, if you can look at it and go, why?
Yeah.
You know, then it's obviously going to, you know, help in the future. When I think like, yeah, I don't know, it's a tricky one.
Yeah. I just got like, I'm just going to touch on the chat. Broken Semitone, Alan, good to see you. How do you get inspired when working mostly in the box? He's asked. I think maybe we can both have a crack at that if you wanted to go first. I think yeah.
Well, Alan, that's a good. Yeah, I suppose it's just like, just try things that you don't necessarily understand. I mean, often I sort of like have these like, when you sort of start to understand how certain things work, then you kind of like, you have these, for me anyway, like these things come into your head and you're like, oh, right, well, if that works, then that means that works. And then you need to go and try it, see if if your brain was right.
Yeah,
when
like,
that happens, yeah, it's sort of things come out, and it's quite rewarding. So I don't know. I mean, I'm constantly inspired by what Ableton and Maximus P has to offer, really.
Yeah, totally. And
they're about as in the box as it can get. So
Yeah, it's there's all. It seems like there's all like if I make progress doing something one way, it immediately kind of triggers a new connection. And in the box, well, I think like having a few bits of like hardware that connect interface with the computer really helps. But then I'm also quite happy to just do it completely in the laptop without any controllers or anything like that. Because I kind of like putting these limitations on myself. You know, like I like the fact sometimes it is just in the box because one thing I really like about the laptop is you can do it anywhere. You know, and for a long time I was saying to Alan about this. I'd take my computer like when the kids were going to nursery and I was getting into work early. I'd go to Wetherspoons and I'd have a coffee and I'd crack open the laptop and probably copy some of your stuff, Ned. You know, I'd just make some kind of. I went through a phase of like making huge generative sets of things. You know, with everything pinging off one another and things gated to all over the place and sends and LFOs, and I really actually I learnt so much just making music in Wetherspoons on my laptop. I came up with so many ideas there. It was just like at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, with all the builders coming in to get their breakfast and stuff. So like, but I think it's like inspiration. Like your tools definitely play a part, but like it's a kind of thing that can be found within as well. A bit, not to get too spiritual, but you know, and it's like how you view the equipment you're working with, isn't it? Ned, would you agree? You know, like how can you? Because you're quite good at breaking Ableton, I think, or thinking about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, like to be honest, those types of like breaking Ableton ideas, I kind of just put on YouTube because I think they're just going to be funny and I'll get attention. Like that's not necessarily like when I sit down to make a track. Actually, I kind of just do it quite the old school way of just like bass, drums, you know, pads, chords, lead lines, whatever, and then it's you know it's not necessarily on my agenda when I sit down and make something that I'm quite invested in, that I have to kind of use all of these things. It's more kind of like when I'm just tinkering about and I find something and I think, oh, this is interesting. I'll either make a video about it so people can go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But that's not necessarily like when it comes to sort of like making music. In some ways, I'm actually quite conservative about it, and I actually kind of just want to do it like it's 1978.
What, like mic things up and then like get good takes and stuff like that, yeah?
Yeah, but also sort of like you know, like I like to I don't like to spend too much time. Like if something sounds good, I just want to capture it and then it's done, you know. And the problem is when you do work in the box, it's very easy to sort of come up with an idea and spend a very long time tinkering with it, and it doesn't really get you anywhere. And you know, sometimes you just have to make decisions and go, you know what, that sounds fine, just print it. And when I started, before I got into computers with 4-track tapes and stuff like that, it was all like you made it sound good before you recorded it. That was just the mentality. That was just the way that I thought about it, was that like it was almost like a pre-production rather than a post-production.
Yeah.
Like you got it sounding good and then you captured that and then you moved on to the next thing. And then like when the opportunity came about with like using computers and VST plugins and thinking like, oh my God, like if I don't like that snare sound, I can change it later.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, well, yeah, is that like a good idea though?
Yeah. It's like like choice overwhelm, really, isn't it? Because it's a bit like browsing Netflix and not know, you know, choice paralysis, kind of, in some way. You know, you can do anything at any time. That there's really no impetus to do anything, and in some ways that's more paralyzing than working with a 4-track where you've got only one sound or a limited sound palette. I guess you can see the chat as well, can you, Ned? So you can see some of the questions. someone else, Girdle has asked about other YouTubers' content and Patreon. Did you like? I can like. I watch your stuff, obviously, and I think everyone here probably does as well. And like a lot of the things that I do are very like I've come from like practicing things that I've learned on your channel. And I think like when I first got into like breakbeat stuff, yours was the first stuff that I found. So who else do I really dig as well? I actually like what. But what about you, Ned? Is there anyone on YouTube that you really like, the like technical content or whatever you're really into?
For Ableton stuff, not that much. I mean, I watch your streams.
Obviously,
they're quite relaxing. I'll be honest. There's a couple of like Maximus P guys I watch. Amazing Mac stuff. He's really good.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, I know their names in real life, but I can't remember the names of their channels.
Yeah.
Like Hearing Glass does cool Maximus P stuff. I mean, really, I was really into Produce Like a Pro for a bit. Warren Hewitt, his stuff was really good.
Yes, his mixing stuff is excellent.
Yeah, he's really good for. Again, it's that sort of like. I mean, I like him, but it is quite old school.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really into new technology, but the way that he sort of his kind of mix approach is quite old school, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's just like just high pass it and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I like some of the mix, like Recording Revolution was quite a good one that I learned a lot about mixing and stuff on that channel for a long time. Seemed like that kind of really helped me take a step forward actually with mixing, which I think is so confounding to many producers when they start, because it feels like a lot of the content in Ableton and stuff like that that's covered is the technical aspect and not the creative aspect, like, which is why I vibed on your stuff so much, because it is about the creativity, and coming up, generating material and generating in an interesting way, and like doing things that kind of using the computer creatively to your advantage rather than just EQing a kick drum or something. Do you know what I mean? Or like putting a million plugins on something. Which can be good sometimes, but I think it's kind of, it's like, just because using computers doesn't mean it has, like, that technology just has to be about audio fidelity, if you know what I mean. If that makes any sense.
I mean, like, I mean, what kind of got me into electronic music in the first place was the fact that you could use the computer to break music.
Yeah.
There was all this sort of, in the early 2000s when I was getting into it, and I was hearing all these kind of like things of like people kind of like, putting stuff on CD and scratching the CD and then putting it in the CD player and recording what it does. It's like, it's meant to not sound good.
Yeah.
It was a bit punk, there was something punk about it. And that's, I've always kind of been quite interested in that. I mean, every once in a while I kind of think like, if I was going to, not that I do it very often, but, maybe one day I might mic up my drum kit and record it, and I would like it to sound very nice. And when I do that, I'm probably going to use more traditional, production techniques. But when I think about like using the computer, I kind of think like, what can the computer do? It's not necessarily about how does it sound.
Yeah.
It's like, what can it do?
Yeah. Like
emulating.
The kind of how and the why type thing, isn't it? Like, which I know was like we've touched on before, but like I heard someone else talking about that recently, about like some musicians who did a podcast, and essentially they just talked about how, the whole time, and you can easily slip into that frame of mind when you're working, especially because like making music with computers is very visual. and I think it's almost like synesthetic in the wrong way, that you can end up you can just thinking about music as something visual, and forgetting that it's really an oral experience, something you experience with your ears, and that's free of kind of the trappings of the other senses sometimes.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine telling me, who was a Cubase user, that they'd introduced the no screen button in Cubase. So
okay.
it just goes black. You can't like see, because yeah, we shouldn't really be looking at music.
No. I mean,
yeah, you're right. It totally sort of it is a visual distraction.
Yeah, it's like when people will go and they'll like, or not people. I'm talking about me. When you EQ something, and you get it to like, you're looking with your eyes here, or you do something like you see the waveform and you kind of bump it where like you kind of mix it with your eyes. Or you like line up things so they're on whole numbers. I don't know if anyone else does that, but I do that sometimes. Like 240 rather than 2, like, so it's got to be on an even number or something. And I catch myself doing this all the time.
Well, on some old like EQs, like if you look at the Pultec EQ, they're all notched frequencies.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, well, someone must have made a decision that those frequencies are important.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So I need to know about it.
So
it's sort. I don't think there's anything weird about thinking in whole numbers when it comes to cutting or boosting frequencies and stuff.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
No one's ever going to hear anything beneath 30 hertz. So just do a cut at 30 hertz or a high pass at 30 hertz.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's 31.
I know sometimes I get into it, like I type the things. Maybe you're exactly right. You're typing the things out. And I do prefer EQs that are kind of just knobs with certain frequencies set. Like a Pultec type thing, or like a Marg EQ or something like that.
I know that one. What's that one?
That's like a blue. It's blue MAAG, and it's made. I think it's like a bright blue, and you see it on you might see it in racks and stuff sometimes, but that is it's quite it's like there's various emulations of it. We'll get something different now. Like that, that's what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's got it's just kind of fixed bands where you can, and they're it's just easy then, because you kind of like, and it forces you to respond more with your ears when they're set dials like that, I find, and that you're not using the visual element of a graphical interpretation of the waveform.
Yeah, and I suppose it sort of kind of encourages you to think like, maybe I should be making music. I'm going to be careful what I say here, but like maybe I should be making music that sort of fits within those frequencies. And like, do I really need to have a piece of music that has this really blasting frequency at 18 kilohertz or something? It's like no one wants to hear that. I mean, it's kind of depending on your genre. Again, it all kind of knuckles down to like what your motivation and your determination is. And like, if you want to make something that sounds nice on an iPhone or an Alexa, sorry if sorry Alexa in the room, but like you're going to have to mix it to make it sound good on that speaker. So yeah.
It's all that stuff has been by degrees for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I first started making music with a computer, I was like, I can overdub 100 channels. Wow, and like,
finally, I'm fine, mate.
And then it would be like I'd listen to it in the car and be like, this sounds like absolute trash. And then your ears start to get more attuned to the things that you do like. And really, I'd say it's rather than me becoming more proficient with the tools, it's about I've become a better listener. to interpret the music and to apply the tools, if you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, for sure.
Um,
It's funny you mentioned like the overdubs thing, because last night I was these new tracks I'm working on. I really want to use the SH-101.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like, it's probably a terrible idea, but like what I'm doing is, rather than, because it's not a polysynth, it's mono. So rather than like play chords on it, which I can't, I'm playing each note of the chord I want, and then like overdubbing it and panning it so that it's like it's a chord, so it's like a harmony. It's more like a choir.
Yeah.
Like one voice here, and one voice here. And I've been doing it for, there's this one track I'm working on, I've been doing it for months now, and I just can't get it to sound nice. And I was thinking, oh, the SH-101 is such a wonderful thing. The minute you start layering it up, it can get quite difficult to manage.
Yeah. Are they kind of similar frequencies and stuff? Similar, they're sitting in the same range.
Yeah, it's completely. I thought. I mean, I've done a few other things, like just sort of experimenting, where I've just kind of just been layering all these notes to make these harmonies, and it does sound really good. But it sounds good on its own. Making it fit into what I'm trying to do is proving to be quite difficult. And I'm kind of like, oh, why don't I just use like a soft synth in Ableton? And save myself months. But like, I'm gonna persevere, because I really want to make a load of tracks with the 101 on it, because I love it.
Yeah, I think like I got this. We've spoken about the TD, you know, the Behringer clone of the 303. And I find sometimes, you know, you plug, like you might, I think you've been using the SH, you've been using it more consistently and stuff, but like the first few times, it can take a while to like know its foibles and how it with any piece of hardware you use, there's always like the trade-off between the sound, you know, the kind of your aspiration, your ideals for how you'll use it, and then how it actually sounds when you get it in the mix, you know. And it's almost about like kind of coming to terms with the disparity between the two sometimes, and how you're going to use that to your advantage creatively.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like there's a huge amount of like really great things that can come out of the SH-101. It will, like, if you you've got to find those like sweet spots.
Yeah.
And they really cut through everything. I think it's just what I'm trying to do with it. It's just not really what it's for. So why am I trying to layer up like all these like harmonies and stuff with it? And but like, you know, one of the things that I like about what I've been trying to do with it, in terms of like, you know, having like the pulse width modulation, having like different LFO speeds on the pulse width modulation. So as you kind of like, so as I've layered all of these sounds as I go, they're very similar, but they're slightly different. So one of them has got like a bit of pitch modulation, so it goes out of tune at a different rate than the other one does. And if you put them all together mono, it sounds awful. But when you start panning them, you kind of get like thing just going round and round your head. I mean, I do a lot of stuff in headphones, so
yeah, me too. Yeah,
and it sounds really nice, and it would be very hard to do on a polysynth.
Yeah.
Maybe not an MPE polysynth or something, but so it is going somewhere in that sense. But it's taking me a while.
Yeah. You like I find this as well, is like I have these periods of experimentation with whatever it may be, and it feels like it's just really hard and nothing works, and then suddenly there's a way through, because you get like, I think this is part of being like a musician, an artist, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to say, is that like if you're not uncomfortable, you're doing it wrong. I think, really, kind of keep saying that to myself recently, is that if you aren't constantly facing these challenges, then you're probably just taking it, you're probably doing what you already know, you know, and That's usually not where the best stuff lies, is it? Really?
Yeah, completely. Like, I mean, every time I sort of think about doing something like new that I'm invested in.
Oh.
Bring up all these SH101 parts, because it's just like it's just a bit of a challenge. Oh, what happened? Something happened.
Yes, I cut you off, and now you're in a box. But like, it's okay. I think people can still hear us on the thing, so we're still here. Like, but net sound the square. Oh, mate, I'll tell you, like
my nice circle that took you 20 minutes.
I know the circle's gone. Where's the circle, man? Where's the circle? Oh, I can't believe it.
Alan says 30 minutes in and no guitar.
I know. Look, so we had this nice. So we had a nice circle set up with Ned in. Yeah, I was about to cut. We were quite deep in chat there, and I thought that was flowing pretty well. So, but yeah, don't get confident because like things will just fuck up for you. Do you swear very much on your channel? I don't think you do too much, do you?
I swear very much on my channel.
I mean, you do say shit and stuff a lot. There's effing and blinding, isn't there? Occasionally, that's all right.
I don't hold back. I mean, like now I'm a little bit older and I'm a bit more shy and retiring in my older age.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit careful. But like when I was younger, I was like, no one's gonna watch this anyway. What's the
Yeah. So like, just while we've got just to touch on some of the questions, like Mr. Pacebreaker asked about like 90s jungle artists and resurgence of the genre. Then so we can cover that definitely. Joe Chapman mentioned a freeware clone of Lufticus. That's a clone of the Marg that's pretty. I used it for a long time, but it doesn't work on. It's because it's not a recognised developer. You can't get it on Apple anymore. That's because I used that for a long time actually. The Lufticus Marg clone. And then we can get to guitar chat after that. So maybe 90s stuff, 90s jungle resurgence. Favorite artists from then.
Well, I mean, like I really didn't get into it until it was kind of over, really. So it was, I sort of started listening. I started hearing that stuff in like the very, very late 90s. And by that point, it was kind of gone. So ever since then, I've just been sort of finding things. At the time, I remembered really liking LTJ Bookham, but in retrospect, I kind of think he's a bit naff.
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of just like every once in a while there's an internet radio station I listen to sometimes called Jungle Train, which is like really 24-hour jungle. And every once in a while something comes on and I'm like, this sounds like it's from 1995. I need to go and look up what it is. But yeah, I mean, there's like, I don't know, like Remark, Chrome and Time. Like, I need to DJ Gunshot.
Yeah, I like that.
Really mid 90s. In fact, there's also an archive online of Radio 1's One in the Jungle show, which aired, I think was on Radio 1 from like 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. every Friday from like 96 to 98 or something.
Was that the one you sent me? That was different. That's a different thing by the sounds of it, is it?
I think what I sent you was the tape packs archive.
Yeah, the tape packs is wicked. I mean, because I go into that a lot for sampling and stuff, but it's just a bit overwhelming. There's just so much stuff, But yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some like resources out there to go and discover what I consider to be a golden era of British electronic music.
Totally. Yeah, no, I've like waxed lyrical to anyone whose ear I can bend on the subject. I think all of it, like all the like I would struggle to name kind of like people, but I think this is it touches on a good point. This actually, Mr. Praise Breaker, is like feeling like a bit of a genre fraud sometimes. Like, I think the jungle I've heard more in clubs and on mixes and stuff like that, and I probably know more about what's being produced nowadays than from back in the day, because it seems like there was, there's just such a huge amount of it to get through. But I really like one track I heard recently, Baraka. Johnny L's Alias. Have you heard him, Ned? Can't remember what the tune's called. Baraka.
Can I just go and get another beer?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'll be there.
Get it up on the internet.
Get it up on the internet. It's happening. I mean, like, whether I'll be there. I think it's I'll be there.
Honey presents the Honey Challenge.
Hopefully we get ads. Right.
Find the best discount codes.
Can people hear that? Probably not. You can hear that. Yeah, stuff like this, I just like so into this vibe. I'll wait until he comes back before rinsing it, so we'll definitely get copyright strike on this video, but it's worth it.
Are you going to get into copyright problems?
Yes,
soon?
probably. Yeah, do you think it might get nailed? But this track is Baraka, I'll Be There. Yeah, this is definitely worth a check out. And like, I tell you what, I'd probably do is like just put a load of stuff in the comments afterwards of things we cover. But that kind of vibe, or the have you been on this channel? Ambience Steam. It's there. It's this chap's channel. This ambiance channel is like just the best place to go for that kind of thing. For like kind of mid to late 90s jungle going into D&B, like this, like I probably like the stuff on here. There's just a lot of excellent mixes and stuff like that, which I'll just put on, like some of like Photek's earlier stuff. But that's the kind of sound I like. I really like that, like atmospheric, plinky plonky, like 5 a.m. tunes, with like really
like kind of ambient, sort of ethereal breaks.
Yeah. Like breaks that you just can't keep up with. Do you know what I mean? You can't trace a pattern in them. They're just like, and that is what like I think I really got like really hooked me on jungle and all that stuff was the breaks were the break beats, and this kind of like the futuristic sound of something that almost shouldn't exist musically. It's kind of like if an alien descended and you tried to explain to them. Oh yeah, there was this genre like not in the 70s, funk, and then 25 years later or whatever, people got the drum breaks and they sped them up. They sped them up like to kind of weird. It's weird that they're so sped up, is it not? Is that just me?
Yeah, I was watching. I saw like a clip. I was on Instagram, and there was like a clip on Fabio and I don't know if it was Fabio or Fabio and Groove Riders Instagram or something, but it was like a clip from like some sort of documentary or something, and they were like, "Yeah, we literally just like got a hip hop break, and then sped up on the Technics."
Yeah.
We made drum and bass.
Yeah. It's like I've seen stuff like that. Yeah, but they essentially just like they use it because it all came about from decks really and DJing. That they would speed the tracks up on, and didn't they might have two of the same record so that they could kind of keep spinning back and I guess that comes more from like hip hop and like hip hop culture, doesn't it? Really, kind of doing that thing with the drums.
It's the British hip hop jungle, I think.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
It's just faster.
Yeah, it's just like sped up hip hop with like sciencey sounds over the top.
Yeah. But it's kind of one of those things where I sort of wonder, like, it's almost like someone did it just for a laugh, and then someone else went, "No, man, that sounds fucking sick."
Yeah.
Like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we played this record like at +12?
Yeah.
And then they do it on a break, and it's like, "Whoa, man!" Like, listen to that. And then it just, invents an entire genre.
I mean, it's one thing I always bang on about, right? Or not bang on about, but I talk about on stream a lot. Is like how jungle's quite easy to make once you've got the choppage and stuff down, because it kind of mixes itself, because inherently the elements, because you've got a sped up break, sped up without any kind of algorithmic warping, and so it's just pitched up, isn't it? So it's just a higher frequency. So it leaves you all that room for like the bass to just do its thing without having to worry, it inherently it works from a mix perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. You don't and like the whole thing about using like breakbeats as well is that like quite a bit of the mixing has already been done. Yeah.
So you're using the sound that's professionally recorded,
Yeah.
I mean, that is like creativity, it's like that approach to music, so that, like, I like a lot of stuff off this channel, like modern artists. I'm really into stuff on Deep Jungle Records.
I haven't heard this. You got to send me these things.
I will, man. Yeah, there's like some of the Amen stuff on there is so like Tim Reaper as well, Dward, Coco Bryce, Sully, artists like that. And I'll put you together some stuff, Ned, because I know we spoke about that before. But yeah, and the things that come out on labels like Lobster Theremin has some good jungle stuff, and
never heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of all like low, we were talking about Donk the other day, and they put like the guy who runs the label Asquith. Yeah, he also has a label called Higher Power, which does all kinds of like donk and hard house stuff, like hipster stuff. It's trendy now, all this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, sort of like. I mean, there are young people sort of discovering it.
Yeah.
For the first time, like 25 years old. And I remember I was the same when I was like in my early 20s, and I was discovering all this krautrock stuff like Can and Neu from like this late 60s or whatever in Germany, like 30 years ago, and just being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Stuff existed and it's 30 years old or whatever. It's like it's just the way it works.
Yeah, totally. It's like all these, like, it's a bit overwhelming if you try and think about it too much, I think, because there's just so many, it's all these multiple cycles working, different rhythms and stuff, and all kind all like kind of coinciding in the present, if you will. Just checking in on the chat. Some good recommendations. Fallen Angels, Frequency DJ Tango remix, Airy Beauty and Heavy Breaks. Yeah, that is kind of the vibe for me.
You watch Busy? Yeah, I watch Busy Bee's channel.
Yeah, I watch Busy Bee. Like, I
had him on More Kicks and Friends in 2020.
Did you?
He gave me a mix. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. His channel's great. It's kind of like his channel is a little bit sort of like, it's like Car Mechanics, but for samplers.
He's a proper tech head, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. He buys old Akai samplers off of eBay and then like them up and like blogs about it. It's
yeah, and he makes that stuff on Octamed as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's still like, I think he's mad into re-noise right now.
Yeah.
But he kind of has this. He's kind of like a sort of Akai sampler repair guy.
Yeah, because I know he does the installation. I think my mate got him
his
to. Of his little chips, like USB compatibility. And my friend got an S950. And I think bought one of those from him the converter. So yeah, more jungle label recommendations there in the chat. Everyone knows DJ SO and SO, and Barakaznan invented jungle. Kemet, yeah, Kemet are a good shout. I like a lot of the Kemet stuff. That's really tight sound on Kemet. Skeleton recordings, yeah. Sully remix of Tim Reaper all the way around, yeah. So like as we're on breaks, favorite break beats, top ones you go back to. Is it your own stuff now? You're recording your own. You record a lot of your own drums and that, don't you now?
Yeah, but I'm a bit past that now.
Yeah. Bored of that now.
Yeah, at some point I'll probably get back into that, but yeah, no, I think it's probably like a good question. There were a couple I was like browsing in my library, thinking like once in a while I sort of like I probably really only use 3,
Yeah.
but there are ones that I kind of like stumble upon every once in a while, and I'm like, oh, that's the one that was used in that track.
Yeah.
What was the one I heard the other day? I think it was like, I'm gonna have to Google it. I think it was like Sesame Street.
Oh, Copter.
Sesame Street by. Let me Google Sesame Street break.
Yeah, I think I noticed it's the Copter one. I've got it here.
Blowfly.
Yeah, it's
And it's like I heard it and I was like, oh my god, that is like in every single.
Hear that?
Bass tune. That one, yeah.
Yeah, so got it's like you hear that a lot, like because people like the snare.
Yeah.
Hear that in a lot of like just like D&B now, just where it's been given the the snare's been chopped and used because it's so like it sounds like doesn't even sound like a snare drum to me.
It's got kind of a. Well, I mean, when it's sped up like that, it's sort of almost has like a bit of a kind of, I don't know. It's not a snare, is it? It's kind of like.
Sorry, I'm smashing it while you're talking.
That's fine. You go. But yeah, it's not really a snare, is it? It's kind of, but it's so sort of evocative of that kind of sound, like I mean, the snare really makes or breaks, no pun intended.
Yeah, so like I'm just keeping an eye on my stream health, and it's like it's a bit up and down. It could be the time of day. Sometimes can get a bit.
Everyone needs to get off the internet.
Yeah, get off the internet now.
Make a smooth stream.
It's like a good connection, and sometimes it really flows, and it certainly flows very early in the morning normally. But like on a Friday night, everyone's in watching Netflix or whatever. So what about the other ones then? So Copter.
What were the other ones I'm thinking of? There's like Tighten Up, James Brown, which is like quite a difficult one to use because it's got all of the rhythms that you need, and there's that really nice kind of splashy ride cymbal.
Yeah.
The snare's not that good.
Yeah.
Tricky one.
Sorry, we might get some echo now, dude.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, so it's got that, like, it sometimes works quite well layering something like that, because then you do get the fizz of like the high of the. I don't know why this is so fast. Have I not got a better version of that? Yeah, so I don't know why that's not. How many bars is it?
Who? Well, I don't know. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it in context.
I think it's like 3 bars long, is it?
I think it might be 3 bars. Yeah. It all depends where you cut it, isn't it?
Yeah. The individual hits are great. Yeah, someone's saying about. Yeah, I think so. Like, because the copter works really well layered. I find, you know, it's like.
Damien's in the chat using his real name.
Turismo Blue in the house. Yeah, using his alias. Yeah, just checking out. Had some other comments. Yeah, Dead Man's Chest is good. I sent him some music actually recently, and my friend is getting a release on a forthcoming like producer I work with here. New Noble Spatial for atmospheric stuff. Sick. Yeah, Freddie, no worries, man. Scientific Wax, Tighten Up is real hard to work with. Yeah. Yeah, cool. So I think we're all caught up. Yeah, so Tighten Up, Copter. What else are we saying then? Ooh.
Play like one of the tracks I've been working on, but like it was from the band Love. Can't remember the name of the song, but the entire like 4 minutes of the song, like the middle 4 minutes of the song, is just a drum solo.
Yeah.
And there's some like really good bits in that I've taken.
Yeah. Give us a like. Did you say you could play it? Sorry, it glitched out for a bit on me there a bit.
Not that particular track. I've got another track I could probably play just to sort of like show you a work in progress. I'm not normally one to share works in progress, but since this is a special occasion.
Yes, well indeed, yeah. So like if my internet can hold up, like if it all goes tits up, then we'll just do it. We'll just stay up until 4 a.m. and do it then.
Well, yeah, whatever. It's fine.
No, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Did you want to give it a spin if you want? We should be able to hear it.
Yeah. I wonder how we're going to make this work.
So you should can you do share sound on share screen? That might work.
Hang on a minute. Sorry, give me a second. Do I want to save? No.
So one thing, now we're on the subject. Actually, we only ever see you doing things in your, in a standard template of Ableton. Yeah. So have you got any projects that you're working on you could show people, and me?
Yeah. I've got like one. Can you allow me to share screen, please?
Yes, I can. Hopefully, right. This could all go terribly wrong, but we'll just see. We'll see how we get on. Yeah.
One watching is very patient. Oh yeah, Doggone was used on Two Doggone. That's the one. They're kind of he's split on the snare, even if it's just like individual hits or something.
Okay, so I've allowed screen sharing, and I wish my internet was behaving better. But there we go.
I shouldn't need to share sound because I'm just doing it all through the mixer.
Sick. Let's just give it a listen, shall we? So I can see this on Zoom.
If we get some feedback, let me know if there's some feedback.
Okay, that could be. All right then, people. I'm just gonna you're gonna have to bear with us here because this has never been done before.
Well, hang on. I think maybe I've got my Tascam in the wrong mode. I think I've got it in multi-track rather than mix.
That could is that why?
That's why I think that's why the feedback was happening. So I'm just going to change it now. Hopefully, it should all be fine.
All right, I'm just gonna. Yeah, cool. If it's
Okay.
not, we'll just roll with it. Yeah, I can hear you still.
But why am I coming in on the Stereo mix, yeah. So why am I coming in? It's because I've got some stuff fucking going on here. Oh my god, it's too complicated.
So we've got multiple computers doing multiple stuff. Reset. Okay. I can see you. Everyone can see your thing now though. So like we're piping in Ableton.
Can you hear that?
Yes. Bit louder. Okay.
Oh, it's because the mix is so down. So, like, this isn't mixed.
That's all right.
Is that loud?
Give us a bit more if you got it. It sounds quite woolly.
Like that.
Could be. It could be in.
Again, I had the compressor on the desk. How's that?
Still sounds quite like low passy. Don't worry if we can't do it. We're trying new things here, people. This is what you need to do. You need to try things you don't know what you're doing. So can you share sound in Zoom?
It's kind of, you know what? I'll just well, I can't. Oh no, I can't because I'm using the Tascam for my Zoom.
Okay, so
if I switch to Zoom audio, I'll have to go to a different mic.
So are there any
Go on.
Are there plugins in here that only you have? You could always share the project with me and I could open it. Sounds super mug.
Okay, let me do that. So yeah, what I'll do then is I'll send you a link because it's saved on my Dropbox anyway.
Sick. Yeah, so I might be able to do this and then I can just play it back.
Link. Let me see.
No sound. Can you hear? You can hear us though still, Alan.
Yeah, this is this is been a technical hurdle.
Yeah. Yes, okay. I think this is like again embrace the failure, embrace when things go wrong because like you end up learning more from it. It'll probably all make sense tomorrow when we're like, that's why that.
It'll always tomorrow we'll just go like, oh, that's what we needed.
Yeah. So I like
I have this all set up just to shoot YouTube videos.
So someone just said you sound like you're in the loo. Just to cut in there, sorry. Emma Appleman. Yeah, so Ned sounds like he does, doesn't he? I agree. Yeah, man, you got to style it out, haven't you?
But I've changed the. No, I think it's something I've done. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new live stream where we try and what the fuck we've just done.
Have we compressed it like an idiot? That's what happened.
I switched my desk to mix rather than multi-channel, which I thought.
Okay, now I can't hear you. Oh fucking hell! Hang on. It's because I switched screen. I don't know. It's when I type, it fucking switches screen for me. There we go. You're back. Sorry. Everyone should be able to hear us both. Sorry, everyone.
Have you got me?
I've got you. I've got us both.
Okay. All right. Let me try and find this project, and I'll see if I can send it. Because it's only it's all audio and it's all stock stuff. So.
Sick. So Counter Random said it's all about the banter anyway, and I agree. It is really about that, isn't it? That's why. That's probably one of the reasons your channel appeals to so many people. Would you say? The banter is strong on your videos.
The banter is strong on this one.
I liked how
I've sent you a Dropbox email.
Okay, cool. So let me just this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to make sure team don't look at my emails, people. How can I do this? Maybe I can make this screen really small and just like find the top one. Okay, is it coming through? Yes, there we go. Yeah, I've got it. This is how you do it.
So you might be able, you can either download it or maybe even open it remotely.
Might be able to do that, yeah.
That would work.
It should just download to my no. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can. I might just download it. It might be easier.
Controllerism's in the chat. Hello, mate.
Yeah. He said it's all about the banter anyway, which I am inclined to agree. But and that's why I was talking about the banter strong in this one. High tide of Banter Bay. I like the way
the banter is strong.
You had a video on Ableton's website recently about drum. That was really sick. That modular, the drum modulation stuff using the expression control. And I've been trying to use that.
Changed my life.
Yeah, that's for like, I was trying to like do stuff with it in breaks and like in sampler, but it can be a bit too hectic sometimes if you're. Because the way I like to chop breaks is like hit by hit often, you know, and use the envelopes really tightly. Kind of love that sound, and so I was finding that if there was like a hi-hat pattern of a digga digga, you know, like a 16th note type of or a 30-second little digga digga, it's just too heavy, and maybe I need to rethink how I'm doing that or something. Let's see how this project's coming on. Yeah, but in that Ableton thing about the drum modulation, you said they phrased it quite well as, you know, and then Ned adds compression to bring the sound together, and of course in your video it's now we'll compress it like an idiot. That's kind of what and I just like the way Ableton, like, in their kind of PR marketing, nice PR marketing way.
Very polite.
Yeah, very polite way. Oh yeah,
Have you messed around with the new mic tuner?
Yes,
I have actually. Yeah, it's very nicely designed. The oh wow, there's my project, and yours.
Yeah, sick. All right, I'm gonna bootleg the shit out of this.
I was sort of like, I was up late last night. I was working on one track, and then I was like, I'm sick of this. So I went back to this one, and I was trying to really kind of like, I'm not a big automation guy, but I really like automation in terms of like opening and closing, like following the feel of the whole thing. So like I recorded like all of these like various SH101 parts, like all independently, but kind of like was like opening and closing the filter to kind of like make them feel like that they kind of go somewhere. And then and so that was all out of context. And then I tried to put it into the context of like a track, and I was thinking, all right, so all of these tracks feel like they're opening up here, so I want to have like some movement here. And then I tried to mirror that with the drums by like assigning like the decay and release of the drums to like one macro. And so sort of closing down the drums in certain places to make them really tight to match like the feel of where the track was going, and then opening them up to make them more, you know, have a longer release time and stuff to match what was. I was really pissed.
Okay, so look, you've done some mad EQ there. There we go. Right, okay. So you just might want to watch your feedback then, Ned, please, if that's all right. If we play this,
I don't even know where that is.
All right, don't worry. It's in the toilet where you are.
I wonder if I could just listen to it on YouTube.
Okay. All right then. That could be a good vibe. Might just be a bit of a delay. I thought you only drum bus like an idiot, and it's the only. It is, yeah. Ned, it's the mixer. This happens when I use the. Did you see Damien's comment, Ned, about the mixer? You used the Model 16 for audio. When we do a call, it makes the same sort of distortion when I use the Tascam. Maybe next time to.
This happens when I use the Model 16 for audio. When we do a call, it makes the same sort of distortion when I use the Tascam. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought that I had this set up every single time that I sort of use this for a call. It sometimes.
Right, have you bloody gone again? I keep when I type in the chat, it just gets rid of you. That adds to the fun of it. Yeah, sorry. I keep thinking you stop mid-sentence because I'm looking at the YouTube studio comments and stuff like that, so I can keep an eye on them. Oh dear. So yeah, all right. Well, should we give this a listen then, Ned?
Yeah, give it a listen.
Cool. Hopefully it'll play. Okay. Now I'm not hearing anything. So why aren't we hearing anything there?
Oh, I heard it fine.
You did.
That's
cool.
Weird.
Okay. It could be that something to do with listen to.
Oh yeah, because I'm listening to you on the browser, aren't I?
Yeah. Something to do with stuff coming in here. Okay. But no one can hear
that. Master. Pull that master
down.
That
master down.
The session. That's...
How's that looking? How's that sounding for you? I'll sort out the sound on here in a sec. I can't believe this. I tell you, man. Don't do this stuff. Just don't bother. It's not worth it. It is
never try this.
I never tried. Like, so I can fucking... Is it because I've listened to? Because of what just set up with that? No, because then I'm not... No one's hearing that. And it was working fine a minute ago. Right.
Maybe I'll interact with some of the comments.
Yeah, please do. If you, I'm just going to pull. I'm going to go nuclear for a second.
It's all about the banter anyway, isn't it?
It is, guys. That's the only reason I watch your videos, Ned.
I thought you only drum bus like an idiot, and it's the only way to drum bus. It is the only way. Maybe next time try the Zoom to YouTube approach used for MKTF. Yeah,
we did talk about that, didn't we?
We both want to be on screen, or at least that's what we worked out at the time. But it's such a tricky thing. I watch like loads of people do it on YouTube all the time, and I'm just thinking, how are you piping all these people in and out like this? But they're just talking. Like
they're just talking, man. Yeah.
You need to get computer audio in. It really changes.
Yeah. And like we've got two Macs, and I'm streaming from a Windows machine. It's just like, which probably makes it simpler actually. So like it's just, but this like we are leading the way. With
I'm
this
loving
shit.
the edgy live broadcast vibe. It's like TFI Friday. that's kind of what I want.
I thought
I miss the edginess. 90s live television. I miss that.
Yeah.
You don't get that now.
No, you don't. It's all far too scripted and oh no.
It's too polite.
It's too milky.
Like, when are we ever going to see Sean Ryder say fuck on TFI Friday at 6 o'clock in the evening on the first show of TFI Friday? We're never going to see those days. Okay. Those days are gone.
Okay, you'll be hearing that, but then there's still no sound for some reason. And I really don't know. Is it because audio? They'd probably just cut to something else though when this happens on TFI Friday, wouldn't they? They just cut to like.
I was watching when someone phoned in on Going Live and asked 5-Star why they're so fucking shit. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think maybe.
I sent it to my sisters. It's classic.
So life is.
Oh, loopback.
Loopback is yes. Loopback is. I just don't seem to be getting anything coming out of here, which is strange because.
That's weird because I can hear it.
Yeah, so you can hear it through here, can't you? You can hear it through listen to. And that's most bizarre.
Your master out. Check your master out on your master.
Oh yeah, man. That's why. Is that why?
Well, it's blue. You see how the fader's blue?
Yeah. So it's because you've got a different, it's going to a different, yes, got it, right, okay, let's try again then, people. This is Ned Rush, work in progress. What's this called? Hello 101.
It's called Hello 101.
Hello 101, yes, yes. Here we go. That's better. We're hearing that, yeah? Yes,
Yeah, I hear it.
So this is the 101. Obviously. Hello, 101.
All the synthesizers are the 101, yeah.
Sounds lush. Yeah, there we go. Round of applause.
I actually
That
only
was
heard
sick.
about. I actually only heard about half of that
Did it glitch out?
because it glitched out. Minor third movements, yeah. So actually, so each. I knew Alan would point this out.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, each key is in a Lydian. There's a flat. There's a raised fourth in each key, and then they move down a minor third, and then it comes back. So it's like a cyclical transposition.
So is it like you start off like the key, it goes down a minor third, but it's a Lydian mode moving through minor thirds.
So each starting key. So the first one is like C Lydian, then it goes to A.
Yeah.
So that's a minor third from A, and then it goes to F sharp, and then it goes to E flat, and then back to C.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's like a cyclical transposition. So it's like it's going to come back round eventually.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it sounded lush actually. And is this the thing we were talking about then with the pads where they're like?
Yeah. So I mean, this one actually worked out a little bit better than the other one I'm working on, because it's just three lines, and all they're doing is just holding a note, and then I'm just opening the filter.
Yeah.
To sort of make it like kind of orchestral, I suppose.
Yeah. And so where was Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, go on. No. You
was the MIDI, or did you play how was it sequenced then for these parts? Was it?
So yeah, the MIDI actually was done. The MIDI's in Ableton, and then I sent the MIDI out via the Novation Remote SL Mark III, which has and gate outs, and then that goes into the SH101, and then that comes back in.
Right, cool.
So the MIDI was being triggered from Ableton, but I ended up just recording the audio. But I kind of recorded these. I recorded all those parts like out of context.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I just let it and just like kind of had little jams with each of the parts, and then decided like, okay, maybe these bits work together a little bit here. But like it's really kind of all about like just kind of like because actually not much happens.
Yeah.
It's just the thing going round and round. So when I have these things where it's like, this is just an idea going round and round, what can I do with it? Where can I take it? I just kind of think like, well, I'll just kind of open and close the dynamics. So I'll sort of like, build it up to a point where it's kind of really enveloping and really like a mushroom cloud, and then pull it right back so it's like a tiny little close little sort of pitter patter thing, and then bring it back. That's kind of just in those situations. That's kind of what I think to do. It's like it's techno. I mean, it's techno really. It's kind of like a techno drum and bass track, I suppose.
Sounds almost it sounds pretty like straight, like kind of like IDM-y drum and bass type thing. Like if I had to put
it's a drum
genre
and bass track. It's absolutely it's a drum and bass track for sure.
Yeah.
But like I was maybe wanted to kind of take that techno thing of kind of like playing with the dynamics of just opening and closing gates and filters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like those. I mean, that to me is what good dance music is all, or like good electronic music. That's what I like it. But like the kind of something's changing all the time, but you can't always put your finger on it, and you don't really know it's changed until it's not there anymore. And I kind of love music that does that. Where you kind of realise you're in a different landscape all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but all of a sudden and gradually at the same time. It's like these kind of like you've got these many circles spinning. These many cycles happening. You've got the key changes and the rhythmic changes, which are much faster, and then also this kind of slowly evolving thing, like palindromic thing of things opening up and closing. Because I kind of like to think about music that way. That you've got all these many circles, and they're kind of all connected, like gears, if you will. And they seem to be like the hallmarks of stuff that really works, if you know what I mean. when it does stuff like that. Yeah, that sounded wicked.
Yeah, I just sort of think like, there's been a couple of times when I've had conversations with people and they've got like an idea for a track and they're like, I don't really know where to go with it. And I'm sort of like, well, have you got any other ideas? And if you haven't got any other ideas, then just screw around with the ideas that you have.
Yeah.
And like that can actually be, that can be a piece in itself. Like you can take like a simple, 1 bar or 4 bar loop, and you don't have to be stuck in that kind of 4 bar loop thing.
No,
you've got a huge amount of stuff that you can play around with there, like in terms of dynamics or movements or whatever. Like you can change the sounds as they evolve. It can be like a kind of evolving thing, and that's kind of like, that's good for dance music.
Yeah, it's like not every track has to be everything. I think that can be the tendency when you're making, like, is wanting to include everything you're into at one time, and it's a nice realization to have that like every track is different and unique in their own in its own way. And it doesn't always have to be this, it can just be one thing, it can just be one sound, and that can be as equally a viable a piece of music as something that's got 100 channels, 100 overdubs in it or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, think about like Steve Reich's like 4 organs. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Thing where it's just one chord, and then over the course of 20 minutes,
yeah,
the chord becomes an arpeggio.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the first time I heard that, I was like, I can't believe that this even exists. Who the fuck did this? Like, what a crazy idea. Actually, but it's compelling for me. I think it's really compelling. So it's, like there's definitely room for taking like very, minimal ideas, basic ideas, and turning them into something that can be kind of, quite big. And that's kind of what's good about techno, I think.
Yeah.
Like good techno tracks are like, it's just it's a simple idea that goes somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's like compelling. It's kind of like its simplicity is its strength, isn't it? Really, that's the kind of makes it so like, and that's where there can be great potential for like change and variation and everything. Even in like get like to touch on Steve Wright, like the rhythms, varying the rhythms of something, and how compelling that can be when they suddenly change. And how it can just be like a whole new world can open up when literally like something shifted by a quaver or crotchet or whatever, and suddenly it can just blow your mind. Especially it's like when you bring in a hi-hat and in techno, if you've been on the dance floor and it's just dum 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 dum, and and eventually like this hi-hat.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, man, it's like huge. That can absolutely tear a room up. It's pretty. Oh, hey, Lauren.
Talking about Steve Reich, I actually went to a live performance of Music for 80 Musicians last night. Oh, last night in Portland.
Sick.
Yeah, I went to see Music for 80 Musicians some years ago in where was that? I think it was the Royal Albert Hall, Royal Festival Hall, Barbican. I don't know, one of the London things. Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Although there were 19. I think there were 20 actually musicians.
Right.
I was slightly crossed. I wanted my money back.
Yeah, we did a piece at work, the woodblock one. Don't know if you've heard that, which is, I mean, a lot of his pieces are kind of.
I'm not sure I have. No.
So it's like lots of. It starts off with like a on, and it can be played on any piece of wood with a beater, So. Right. And then other percussionists come in, and join the wood like with a different rhythm, and then the rhythms kind of shift and vary over the course of the music. So it's really kind of like playing with pulse and the interpretation of pulse and how it can shift, and yeah, I know that a lot of his music explores the same thing, doesn't it? But yeah,
he's very interested in timing and non uniformity with timing and rhythm and phase and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, phase.
So and says he really digs your tune, Cyrus.
That's right.
Virus.
That's right.
Virus.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Alan.
Before you do, can I just go and get another beer?
Yeah, that's fine. If anyone needs a toilet or whatnot, now is probably the time to go, because I might just get a drink of water as well. So maybe we'll just play a bit of. Actually, no, I'll stay on. I don't want to. Yeah, Virus. So I wonder if I've even got the project. But yeah, I think like Virus, like, yeah, like, so I think it came about that I had some kind of, I was doing probably some mad Ned Rush stuff with an arpeggiator, and I seem to remember like just getting some like really crazy generative results and being interested in it. And I think as a tune, it might have come together quite quickly, as often they do once you've got the idea. Yeah, maybe we can download it and have a look at it. This will probably give me a syncing conflict, but yeah. So yeah, and I think it's kind of got these two set. Like, it'd be good if people could hear what I'm kind of referencing. How long will this take? God, it's probably just going to kill the stream as well. But yeah, maybe I won't bother with that then. I'm not going to wait 10 minutes for it to do that. Yeah. So I think I just literally had this arpeggiated sound, and I seem to remember printing the MIDI. So I printed the MIDI, and then went through kind of measure by measure, kind of moving the notes as I wanted them. And I suspect it's on my Spotify, isn't it? So maybe we can give it a listen. Yeah, once I've finished all, like any music, goes off the computer, and it's kind of just 'cause it takes up space, doesn't it? Like, and I write, as I'm sure everyone does on stream or whatever. I write a lot of stuff. And is it on Spotify? I can't remember where my own music is. No, it's not on Spotify. Yes, it is. Here we go. Let's give it a listen then, see if this works. Maybe I'll just wait for Ned Rush to get back. It would be great if I could show you the project, but essentially I think it is literally that kind of bubbling synth sound, which I think was a stock synth in.
Hello everyone, what did I miss?
Not much really. I was going to download the project for this one that Alan was asking about, but I think I've got it on Spotify, so I think I'll just play it on there. So people can give it a listen. I won't play the whole thing, I don't know. Maybe I will. What?
I can't hear it.
No, it might be unique to listen to on YouTube. No, don't worry, you can.
You keep going. Helena Rice is in the chat. Hi, Helena Rice.
I mean, it kind of continues like that, like various, and I know Ned couldn't hear any of that, but essentially, like, it's kind of, I think it's quite simple in its elements. There's probably about eight channels or something. Yeah, thanks, Lauren. And I think it was doing some kind of generative arpeggiated thing with just like a stock Ableton synth, and then I got into that. I think that was around the time I was so I went through this phase of like chopping a break every day and trying to kind of find my way of doing it, because I watched a lot of your stuff, Ned, over the years, and it felt like I was ready to kind of set sail on my own, you know, so to speak, and kind of like, right, I've got all this knowledge from various places, and I think I'll kind of just want to keep practicing it until I know my own approach. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you learn the blues scale on the guitar, right? You know, and you're copying licks and stuff like that, and eventually you get to the point where you're playing your own licks and you're not really thinking about other people's licks, or you kind of start to get your own voice for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it felt like with this drum break in particular that I kind of did something like that with it, and I think it came together pretty quickly. It was just like I did recorded automation. I always do that, you know. I always like to record live automation. I don't like drawing things in really unless it's just a placeholder. And that was really how the track came together. And then mix. I think I was heavily inspired by Apex's and Lord's stuff. You know, the God, I can't remember what it's called now.
I've got some of those on vinyl.
Yeah, I know you said that.
I'm one of those dickheads that says I've got that on vinyl.
But like there's like a really cool like arpeggiated bass like track, and I wanted to kind of copy that essentially. I mean, I don't do anything original. I just copy other people's stuff. Isn't that what it's all about?
Not wrong with that.
No, man. No, like it's copy, and at the end you'll find your own sound. I think there's.
It's like that thing that Alan Partridge said about regional detective shows. People like them. Let's make more of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like a Samwell District mix where they play it right at the end. They play this like this Aphex track right at the end, and I can't remember what it's called now. It's got this 6 bass line. And I just wanted to kind of channel that really, so that was kind of how that track came about. Yeah. Yeah, genius borrowed. What was it? Talent borrows, genius steals. Is that right? Yeah, something like that.
What's that?
Is it like talent borrows, genius steals? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that attributed to like Lenin, but I don't know if that's true. It seems like everything is. You know, you get these quotes.
I've been trying to work out that in the chat that like El Horon I can't read. I thought that this person was just making the same comment over and over again. It just turns out that they have an incredible username.
So Lauren,
horse gold.
So Lauren came to. We have an event in Birmingham, right? Which is like this. This might be worth me talking about actually, like called Listening Sessions, which is like a producer showcase. I don't know if you've ever been to anything, you know, like a kind of like open mic for electronic artists. Don't know if you have anything similar.
Yeah, I have a friend in London who was doing something like that, where it was exactly as you said. It was kind of like an open mixer, so people could just sort of rock up and do like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so like because Lauren came down. That's the reason why I recognised that. But yeah, so like you can take your own USBs and just play stuff off, like just test your tracks on a sound system. And it's been like invaluable for like for my music and for meeting other people in Birmingham who make music, you know, and like because it's the kind of place where like parties start from and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. That's how like people you meet other producers who make it the same kind of music and you'll feed off one another.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, man, it's great. Yeah, you should see if you could come down for one time. But Marksman, Yazuk, I can't pronounce. I'm struggling with that pronunciation. Sleep of Eons. How are we all doing? Yeah, we're still going. Is there any like any questions for either me or Ned? We could talk more about.
I don't want to answer any questions.
We've had enough questions.
No. I'm joking. I was like maybe I don't know. Like we've looked at one of my projects. Maybe.
Yes.
We
Do you want to see one of mine? Do you want to see one of mine?
Yeah.
Maybe like so. I tend to. I tend to bounce. So where would it? Because I don't know why these are shared with people. I have.
Have you got to pay? Did you pay for Loopback? Did you buy it?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yes. Solid.
Yeah.
Solid,
I kind
man.
of look at it and think sometimes I think I need it, especially in situations like this.
Yeah, no, totally. So it might be worth me playing these things actually, because I do some. I'm trying to think which one might be interesting for people to see. I have played this one on stream quite a bit. I kind of want to do the ones where I go, okay, maybe I'll play New Age Tape here actually, because that's still a work in progress.
Someone's just asked me, what are those cool glasses you're rocking? They are Specsavers. Incredibly cheap. And then
Yazuk Keezy. User crazy?
Y'all ever played Use Crazy, maybe. Y'all ever played music with a game controller? I've not, but I have seen some people do it. I remember Tim Exile for a little while had a joystick on his groin. That's his thing. I've seen a couple of people do things with like PlayStation controllers and stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to make my own MIDI
and
controller.
the Wii as well. I've seen people do things with the Wii controller. Yeah.
I would love to like make my own controller. I think there's never enough bloody knobs and faders on things for me. It's always like, you know.
Yeah.
I want something with like 1,000 faders or something. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Or like a load
I had a. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, carry on. What did you have?
No, I was just going to say I had a Kenton Control Freak 16 for a little while in my 20s. That was just a bank of 16 faders. I loved it, but it was so archaic at the time that I got rid of it because it was all MIDI, and I was into USB at the time. So.
Okay, yeah. I suppose like it would have to be USB. I like the idea of the arcade buttons look really nice to kind of play stuff on, you know, and to just maybe trigger effects on or something like that. Because I quite like using those for sends, you know, like momentary switches, if you will. So you can just map a send and you can press it and hold it down and then take it off. So rather than having to worry about a knob, because you know when you're performing live, like twisting a knob takes so much longer than bumping a fader or pressing a button.
Yeah. No, I'm all about the faders, like, because you can be like gradual with them, but you can also be pretty quick with them as well. And I'm the same. I mean, that's kind of why I went with for the APC Mini, because it's just like the faders are there immediately.
Yeah,
it's like all I need.
Yeah,
and it's like it's not expensive. It's so cheap. I mean, I bought a second one off eBay for like £40.
So how do they interact with one another then? Because I did ask that on Instagram. You said they were fine, and so
they just sort of work like two separate. So you get two separate.
Okay.
So I can see now on your screen, you've got like one blue grid.
Yeah.
They just work like two separate grids.
That would be cool.
It's the same thing twice. So like you can have one navigating one part of the set, and then the other one navigating another part of the set. So I did that gig in Bristol, and I was kind of like so on one controller I had like the volumes on the faders, and then the other one was just doing the sends, and then I could switch to like, I think I maybe had Tornado or something on the master or something. So it was kind of like, I mean, you could do it all on the one controller, but having two of them kind of helped with me of sort of thinking like, I know that one is doing a certain thing and this one's doing a certain thing. So I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to remember. Because the last thing you want to do is press the wrong button and turn a fader down, and everything craps out, and
Yeah, you just don't want any there's so much to think about doing that stuff, because like it immediately becomes something you've got no idea what you're doing. As soon as you get people in the room and they're shouting at you, or they're enjoying it, it just makes it's live performance, isn't it? So it immediately becomes a different thing. It's like, you can practice something thousands of times. As soon as you get in front of a crowd with it, it's like, I've forgotten how to do it.
I've forgotten everything. I've forgotten why I'm here. Yeah. Why am I here?
I know. And that's like, it's like that with guitar stuff, but you just suddenly, like a solo or something you've played 1,000 times or done so many times, you do it effortlessly at home. As soon as you're in front of someone, it's like you just cannot play it. It's just ridiculous. Should I give this a spin then? Yeah. Okay, so this one's...
do it. Yeah.
This one's called our New Age tape here. I don't. If you want to hear this, Ned, it's probably best if you listen on YouTube, but don't worry if not. There's a cool little effect I do at some point. That's. I mean, it's quite at like 5. This is definitely 5 EME. Sorry, I'm just going to change the song really quick. I'll just play it again. I wanted to do this like tape. So I wanted to do this like taper, so it sounds like it goes to like. Sounds like it suddenly switches space. You know, like, so you're suddenly like in an old VH, it like goes forward to Canada essentially. And that is with like this thing.
Oh wow, I've never seen that. That's in Reactor.
Yeah. So kind of like, because otherwise it would be quite. Sounds like a tape, you know, stops, like a tape stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's a way of kind of like just check, because otherwise it's quite a simple like drum and jungly track, you know. And I really like kind of shock at, you know, creating these like moments of tension and release with like a change of space, essentially. Like a change, like it's like what the fuck's gone on, you know.
Yeah.
And then lots of edits in the drums. And yeah, Sleep of Ian says I've worked on this on stream before. Putting all these bass things in, you know. And it's probably a good demonstration of like not many elements coming together, you know, like 16 channels. Yeah. So that is that track, Whip.
Right. Defo, Mr. Pacebreaker says nice 96 style. I definitely agree.
Thank you. Thank you. It's quite
very much like very that floaty.
Yeah, totally kind of that is kind of just what I keep doing again and again, I think. But like the kind of expansive, like this is like like I think I've got like bigger tracks sound wise, you know, space wise, like with more like that are a similar world, if you know what I mean. This feel like this is. I did think at points about maybe dubbing this out a little bit because it feels a bit dubby. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of sparse like that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's got a little bit of. It's got some space for more space to be occupied.
Yeah.
And like dub is always the way to go.
Yeah, I dub out so many tunes. Like I love that sound, man, of just like, you know, breaks or sorry, bass and drums and just like what you know, doing it to ascend.
And dub echo.
Yeah, man.
That's all you need. Really,
yeah, but like it's so good because there's nothing in it because that's the thing that makes it. It's what's not there. But yeah, so like. And also kind of I just like digging into edits sometimes, and I think that can kind of be enough if you're hearing it for the first time to kind of pass for a track. You know, I can kind of put this track to bed, so to speak. Yeah, the vocal samples.
So wait, like what?
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry, no, you go. No. I was going to say like one thing that I've noticed from watching your streams is that you definitely have. Like different from me, you definitely have a lot of patience for, like you know, sequencing your breaks, as it were. Like
yeah.
I really don't have the patience for that at all.
Yeah.
So watching someone else do it, like wow, and to sort of like you know to get the results that you're coming out with is like is really good. And so like yeah, it. And also just kind of like watching the track go past, I could see like, oh yeah, this has all been like kind of done sort of like by hand or partially by hand. You know?
Yeah, like it's definitely, it's kind of, you know, if I've done, how many versions of this track, you know, I would like, so I kind of I like to, and of late on streams, I've literally been pulling in loops, you know, just drum break loops, no chopping or anything, and just kind of getting the sounds down. And I do that quite often, you know, so like it's been through various versions, this tune, you know. How many have we got? 7 versions. And you know, only when I think only on the last few sessions have I really dug into that bar by bar type edit. Just because, yeah, I guess even like a 20-minute session. Oh god, I'm on the VHS bit. Even on a 20-minute session, I can feel like I'm surprised with the results that come out, you know. But yeah, I guess because I'm hearing these phrases that I'd like to explore. Do you know what I mean? And like as soon as you do something, you got something to respond to, you know. It's a bit like you play a lick, whatever, and it creates. It creates a tension, doesn't it? Where either it's been resolved, or you've got something else you want to hear. You know, there's more things that need to be said. But yeah,
I mean, like, sorry.
No, carry on. I'd come to.
I've always sort of like thought, you know, breakbeats are kind of like. They're kind of like the pentatonic scale of music technology.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like it's something that you can get hold of like quite easily, but you can take in any direction, and any direction that it goes in is like completely subjective, and it's never disappointing.
Totally.
You know? It's like, I mean, you know, there are people who play like blues pentatonic licks. And it doesn't really sound that great. And then every once in a while, someone will do it, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah. You're like, I mean? Yeah. You're like, is that just pentatonic scale? You know,
is that just a pentatonic lick? That's amazing.
Like Eric Johnson or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Like, you know, we were chatting about Eric Johnson the other day, but like, actually, when I do listen to Eric Johnson, I'm a little bit like, he's just playing pentatonic riffs, like, and they sound amazing. They sound like how is he doing that? And it's that thing of like, you know, you think you know, and then you realize you don't. Don't play the Don't play the Ricky Beato video.
No, don't worry. I won't play anything. I'm just showing people like Eric Johnson for reference. But definitely, like probably Cliffs of Dover is the tune to check out. But like just his like it's probably more his licks that I'm into like than his tunes. Do you know what I mean? It's his vibe rather than his.
It's his phrase. Yeah, it's his phrasing.
Yeah, and his tone.
Phrasing. Yeah, his tone and his phrasing is really understated, but it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, totally. It's just
he's kind of what Clapton should have been, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, or
he's like an awesome Clapton.
Yeah, he's like, or who else does pentatonic? Like, we're talking like the Sean Lane. If you hear Sean Lane play pentatonic stuff, you know, and it's just mad.
Oh, I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy.
Sean Lane. So yeah, oh man, you should. Yeah, Sean Lane. I'm not familiar. Crikey. Yeah, so I know we've veered onto guitars now, people. This is what happens when you like talk breaks.
This is what Alan wanted.
Alan, we're here now, mate. We're here. Like Sean, like you. But yeah, definitely check out like Sean Lane pentatonic stuff. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but like, yeah, he just.
I'll try and listen to it on the YouTube.
Yeah, should do it
on the stream. Yeah.
I'm gonna get adverts now. That's the thing. There we go.
It's fine. Like Lemmy gets away with this all the time.
There you go. Nice. Look at that. That's what I wanted mine to sound like. You see. Here we go, people. You came for the jungle. You stayed for the shred. Come on. Where's he going to break down the lesson? Tune up. Quick tune up. Quick tune up. Pentatonic positions. Here we go.
Okay, now we're going to cover some different ways to finger the different pentatonic positions, primarily in an ascending manner.
The shredder.
This uses some kind of unusual fingering pattern.
Just drop down to one concurrent viewer. Must just be Alan left on now. No, we haven't. There's more people.
That really make it easier to play groupings and shapes of this type. So first, I think I should show the basic pentatonic positions in a given key.
Come on,
and the way that I break them up in my style of playing.
Sean Lane.
So we're going to be in the key of A, and I'm going to go slowly through the 5 different pentatonic positions.
Just check. Are you hearing that, Ned?
I'm watching it on YouTube.
Cool.
So it's a bit late.
First position. The second position is. This is all.
This is clear.
Third position is.
So he's slowly.
Here's the fourth position.
If you're not big into music theory, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Oh no, I was going to say that those like shark tooth,
yeah,
like fretboard inlays are just
Jackson.
Awful.
Yeah, or like, Charvel, yeah.
They've never looked good at all.
Yeah.
Is that?
Now I want to show you a pentatonic sequence.
Is that a Charvel?
Method of fingering it that's quite unusual.
Here he goes. He's going to bust it out now. He's going to bust
this
out
must be like late 90s or something.
Yeah.
Rhythmic groupings of 5 in the various pentatonic positions.
Here he goes. He's going to do it. He's going to take it. I want to go fast, Sean. Come on, mate.
What I was doing there is a
bit faster, please.
I do a lot of 5. I like to do a lot of things like that. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
He does 5s and 7s and 9s, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to do a lot of things like that because they throw the rhythm off.
What's 5s and 7s and 9s?
The pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like D D D D D D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like
what's the numbering?
6.
Is that the fingers or is that the fret position?
It's when you repeat the pattern. So you might go descend starting on a G. D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D, and that's in pattern like groups of 5s. So like
Oh,
1 2 3 4
right.
5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2
Oh,
3 4
okay,
5
right,
yeah.
Okay.
And the same with
So 1 2
sevens.
3 4 1 2 3 4. I do a lot of fives and a lot of odd number groupings, and it
Wow, I
gives
didn't
a
know these things. I've been playing
very
guitar.
interesting
but-
rhythmic feel to a lot of the phrases I do.
When
No,
that's
that
a
was things.
video
I mean,
like
I've done some riffs that are like, yeah, they're kind of cycling like fives. Play 5 notes, then 7 notes, then 9, then mix it up.
yeah, Eric Johnson and Yngwie Malmsteen do this as well, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
like
maybe I'm missing out.
yeah, man, all those shredders and stuff. Yeah, what it makes it nice for is the picking pattern. That's why these patterns work. Is that you can alternate pick, and then you can be on a downstroke, so you can sweep into the pattern down into the string below in the higher string. Do you know what I mean? So if you're on a pentatonic,
okay.
down, up, down, sweep, down, start the pattern again. So you can get some really quick business going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's sort of like, that's like such an, I mean, we've talked about cracking the code, and Alan got me onto cracking the code. And I watched that, and I really had to go and reevaluate my picking style after watching that, because I was just a little bit like, shit, have I been like picking wrong the whole time? Because I just pick when I need to,
Yeah.
and like, so I sort of, I never really thought about it, but other than when I was like a teenager, and I was like, I want to pick every single note.
Yeah.
I must. And I sort of tried to work out, and I was like, well, hang on, actually, I can't, because I can't naturally go to a next string.
Yeah.
Comic fashion without having to do an upstroke or a downstroke or whatever. And so I was thinking, right, okay, so if I want to do this line, I have to start with an upstroke so that I can make the downstroke when I go to the next string.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm much more of a kind of legato sort of Joe Satriani type of, like, it's all with the fretting hand and not with the picking hand.
Yes.
Like I only pick when I need to, really. So.
Yeah, I guess like for me it was like just to go back to like stuff like the stuff that's where I see a parallel, like with the breakbeat stuff and with like guitar stuff and like picking stuff, because there is this kind of like articulation,
it's the precision.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the precision is like deeply satisfying.
Yes.
And like the great thing about breakbeats is that you don't have to like play it; you just kind of click it.
I mean, this is the thing that junglers probably aren't aware of, is that really they'd probably be into shred guitar as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been fun, sort of like meeting all you guys and sort of finding out that, like, you're all former '90s shredders.
Yeah, I mean, like
it's sort of like, yeah, it's the same sort of I don't know, dopamine release that you get or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the mechanics of a finely tuned engine, at play, where you're just like, that. I really like the way that thing moves. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or just the delivery.
Yeah,
the execution of something.
Yeah,
is what's satisfying.
Yeah, Joe Chapman, just touching on that. Yeah, like I think you will find the pentatonic in everything. I remember when my guitar teacher taught it to me, and I was like, this is it. This is just like everything, isn't it? This is fucking.
This is it. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, this is Black Sabbath.
Power of chords and. Yeah.
This is every genre I've ever liked. Up at that point, yeah. So yeah, I think like.
Although it's kind of like I sometimes get a little bit interested when, like people kind of like, they kind of go outside of the shapes, and they kind of they go kind of up and down the neck, like people like The Edge or like Kurt Cobain. Like even like Kurt Cobain used to do solos. Sometimes Kurt Cobain did pretty good guitar solos.
Yeah,
and they were a bit avant-garde, but at the same time he put a lot of thought into it. and he's not doing the shapes. He's going like up and down the neck, you know. And I'm always sort of like curious, like because it's so easy to see a shape on the fretboard and just move up and down it, but to kind of go up and down this way is like a little bit different. Like I sometimes think like that's like a different kind of gaze at the fretboard and way, and so like people who kind of gravitate towards that. Yeah, I don't know. I find this stuff interesting.
No, me too. Like totally, because like you can be a bit boxy. You can see people box with these scales, like, and really it's kind of like it's the bigger shapes and how they maybe connect with like just to I've got the piano working, but like and adding notes to it. You know, like in A minor. I don't know why that's so squelchy. Does that sound squelchy?
I don't know. I can't hear it.
Oh, fine.
I think it's because I've turned it down on my.
No, that's fine. The major second, you know. So da 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 da. Like just adding that is one of my favourite notes to add to the pentatonic, and like that can be all like. I get asked a lot about what I'm playing, like if I play parts in, and really it is often just the minor pentatonic with a major second. So da 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 da, no da 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 the and that can unlock so much. Or like and then kind of jumping in patterns within the pentatonic, like you say, and kind of thinking outside of just playing the scale, ascending and descending or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan says playing vertically, not scaled.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't understand.
Like I guess he means like you
because
go.
I'm a bit drunk.
Yeah. What, you on third can?
Playing vertically, so.
I think he means like going up. Do you mean going up, Alan, rather than?
Well, I was thinking going rather than going across the fretboard, you go up and down the fretboard this way.
Like traversing.
So we're
I like
both
to think
lefty, so you get it. So like you can whiz up and down the scales if you go this way, like across the fretboard. But if you go this way, it's a different story.
We're gonna have to. I think the next time we do this, we're gonna have to get the guitars out.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I think we're gonna have to traverse.
We'll get Alan on, and we'll have like some fucking breakcore. In fact, is it like we've got to make like a kind of breakcore shred metal album?
Yeah, watch out, people. This is being discussed.
We've got to do it. Like, I reckon we could just throw a bunch of like audio at each other, and just like riff out. Just say a key. Just it's in E. That's it. That's all you need to know.
It's in everything in E minor. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's in E minor blues pentatonic Dorian, and we'll be fine. Connecting chord tones normally sevenths and thirds. Oh, Alan, you're always dropping the numbers, and my brain goes.
Yeah, I think I'd like the chords, like a lot of kind of how I play rhythmic stuff or like rhythm guitar is intervals, like and think about things intervallically rather than
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. So, I mean, you know, we've had this conversation before, but like when I sort of like when I go towards like the guitar or the when I go towards the guitar or the keyboard, like there are certain intervals that I know are gonna evoke something specific.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I lean towards. So, like, you know, if you're going for a minor second or a you know, augmented fourth or diminished fifth or whatever you want to call it.
Just playing these for people so they can hear them. Good old dip.
Like, it's going to. But actually, like sometimes I sometimes quite like to go towards it and like avoid things like thirds and sevenths and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, no major thirds, no minor thirds, no major sevenths, no minor sevenths. Just all the major chords but without the major thirds or sevenths or whatever. And you can get some like interesting stuff with that, and it's ambiguous because like you can put a minor third in there and a minor seventh in there on top, but foundationally it's kind of quite ambiguous.
Yeah, I like that as well. Yeah,
and that's sort of like, that's kind of what I quite like, sort of tonally.
Yeah, totally. Me too. I prefer to think, I don't like if as soon as I start adding too much colour into chords that I'm perhaps using in my own music, like it just is just not my. There's too much going on. Do you know what I mean? There's too much information for me. It works in it works in loads of music, but it's just not my. I don't think it sits well with what I want to express. It's not a tool for me, if you will. But yeah, like Alan's just mentioned Herbie Hancock, and like, yeah, completely different thing. We perhaps
a fourth, and a fourth, I'm guessing, is like a suspended fourth.
Yeah, it's like an 11th is.
Be,
it's like so it's like a major or minor third, isn't it?
That's a major third, but not. That's a third, but an octave up.
Yeah.
Stacked fourths.
Stacked fourths, yeah. So what we got?
And you've been too brainy. he's going on with the brainy theory. My slightly addled brain can't cope with that. I am sort of like looking at it. I've got this keyboard that lights up. An 11th would be, yeah, a third, but an octave above the octave.
Yeah, so an 11th will be an F, yeah, above a C. Is that right? 8.
Are we in C? Are we doing it in C?
Let's say
8,
we start
9,
in
10,
C.
11. Yeah, be an F. Oh yeah,
an
fourths and 11ths. Okay, I get it now. So an 11th is a fourth.
Yeah.
But an octave up. Oh, my mind
is
expanding.
It is, yeah. There's a great little book I have got, which like I refer to all the time, and for people who are interested in music theory, this little book is excellent, because there's lots of like theory. There's lots of theory books out there and lots of kind of academic texts and stuff, but this is just a great little intro to music theory and to like the things that are being touched on in the chat and stuff like that. And it kind of it's got a companion book which is about tuning conventions, and this is something that isn't talked about enough in kind of the music we make. And or like, when someone talks to you about music theory, they just throw down these like the numbers and stuff, and it's like, or letters, like, why the hell are we talking about C? When like we've spoken about this as well, haven't we? But this is a great little book to help you out with your music theory if you're looking for one, and it's small and it's cheap. There we go. Advert over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like literate enough with music theory that I can kind of navigate myself in certain situations. But but I think that I know the modes and I like exploring like transpositions and stuff like that. But like, there's still a huge amount of stuff that I don't know, and I think it would be great to have like, to have more conversations about it. And there's a couple of like great YouTube channels that I watch. I remember watching one about like the octatonic, which is like a scale that only has 2 transpositions. Yeah. So scales of limited transposition, which essentially I learned was actually just the diminished scale, which is like the whole tone, half tone, whole tone, half tone thing. And then I learned that it's actually it was really a popular choice for Alan Silvestri, who did the music for Back to the Future and Roger Rabbit and stuff like that. Yeah. And I started like listening to it in his music in slightly different ways and sort of thinking like, oh wow, this is like it's kind of like the classic sort of 1940s noir tension scale. It's like anything that you play on it just sounds really intense.
Yeah.
It's just these little things that like I don't know about that I find, and I'm like, oh wow, there's like so much to play around with that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like
yeah, go on.
it's like yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can not get away with, but there's so much. It's like the pentatonic scale, you know, but people still go like that can still sound fresh, and like the Amen break. It's like what the you know, you can still hear that now with someone at the controls dealing with it in a different way, and it can sound like something you've never heard before, you know.
Yeah.
And I think like like knowing about all these things is like I love music theory. I love reading about it and understanding it and everything. But a lot of it I don't apply. I would never apply. Do you know what I mean? I'd never use it because it just doesn't. It's not my vibe really.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about the that microtone thing that Ableton put out, and you know, like for a long time I was quite dismissive about microtone and stuff because I was just like, oh, this is just some trendy thing that everyone's into because Aphex Twin did it or something.
Yeah.
And actually, all he's doing is just applying a little bit of sample and hold pitch modulation, but I was introduced to the idea of things like, what if you had like a scale that had 15 notes in it?
Yeah.
Across the octave. And I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of interesting. But then I played around with it and it just sounded like Aphex Twin.
I mean, this is yeah. Yeah.
But like, I think it would be great if a bunch of us could get together and chat about music theory. I think I'd have a great time because like there's so much stuff I'd love to know more about and think about ways that I can apply it, because there's just so much stuff there to play around with, and I haven't explored any of it, you know. And that's kind of the gift that keeps giving with music theory.
Yeah.
Is that there's always going to be something that it's just a little bit like, oh, I never thought about trying to do that. And I kind of quite like to explore it with transposition. So I'll do like a key change and then finding like a tasteful way to join the key change together.
That is basically the key, yeah.
Yeah, that track that we listened to earlier, that's basically what I was kind of going for. So like the lead, as the lead line finishes on one key, it's the starting key, it's the starting note of the next like passage of the chord change.
Yeah. I was trying. Yeah, carry on.
No, you go.
I was talking to Alan about this track Tetrasync by Square Pusher, where
yeah.
You know that one, and that's a brilliant example of kind of like, because sometimes if like modulation too much, like modulating key too much in music, it can be, if you're not careful, it can be a bit it's like making it sound natural. I find is the hardest thing, and not too breakneck. It might be what you want and it might be what you like, but for me it's not what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? It's like it wouldn't be a tool I'd use because it would just sound too much like a key change. Not that yours did. I'm saying key changes in general, if you get me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some key changes that are kind of obvious, and then there are some where it's a little bit like,
yeah,
what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. That's the type of thing. Yeah.
I'm sort of like, I'm sort of, you know, occasionally I sort of like, I hear one in something, and then I'm like, I have to go and work out what just happened there so that I can understand. And I'm wondering if that, like, this is kind of me. I'm going slightly into kind of micro thesis mode right now, but
go ahead, man.
I'm wondering if there's actually a limited range, if there's actually a limited area that you can do a key change for it to work. And I've analyzed a few key changes. This is how much of a nerd I am. I've analyzed a few key changes, and some of them share the same pattern in terms of where they go, the next interval that they go to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a minor third.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's a minor third. And so I'm kind of like, I almost want to kind of go and, well, I'm probably not going to do this, but I'm going to say I'm going to do it right now. I always kind of want to like go through and find all of the popular key changes in popular music and see where they're moving to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pattern, and actually the pattern is actually quite limited.
Yeah, like I would say like they're like for this book covers that a little bit, and Alan has mentioned it in about modulating to any key by playing the second, fifth, or the first chord of the destination key. So if you were in, say, A minor and you wanted to go to G minor, then you might play a D minor before going into the G minor, being the fifth D minor. But like, yeah, that is very technical. Yeah, I think like that, like there's a certain pool of chord change of like key changes you can do before it sounds too far from home. Do you know what I mean? Like it sounds just too alien.
Yeah, I mean, like, but and so with that, it's about, you know, where you kind of make the join, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's always interesting. In fact, I remember like this is like really off topic, but like, when was the last time you listened to "I Should Be So Lucky" by Kylie Minogue? There is a key
probably
change.
key change in that. Yeah.
There's a massive key change in that. Before the song even starts, and I heard it. I don't know why I heard it. I don't know if I was in a shop or if it was just. And I was like, I've never ever noticed that key change before, and now I have to go and find out what it is.
Yeah. So what does it do then? Do you know?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
It's like Africa, isn't it? By Toto. There's a key change in that from the kind of intro to the verse. It's not the same key. Yeah, it's not the same key. I'm certain of that. Yeah. And then it goes down a major like a tone.
Oh yeah, it does go. Yeah. It does. It goes down. Yeah.
It's like a different key. Yeah, it's like. Well, we're coming up for 2.5.
I just want to say hi to Ben. Lucian Fletcher is in the chat. He's tuning in. He's
Beach Boys is a good shout. Yeah, good shout.
Yeah. So which one's the one with the Beach Boys? Is it the Wouldn't It Be Nice? That one, isn't it?
With a key change.
Yeah. So it starts in one key and then it goes into.
Well, they do it when they're like they change key then, don't they? Like, I mean, guess, but like,
I was thinking of wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah.
After like 4 beats, yeah. There's a key change before the song's even started.
Yeah.
But that Kylie Minogue song.
Yeah, we're at the 2.5 hour mark, so I don't know how you're feeling. Like, maybe we should wrap it up. Just I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Well, no, yeah. If you want to, yeah, I'm easy. I mean,
I don't mind. It's just that it's more. I'm more conscious of my guest than.
No. I'm fine. I'm happy to keep going.
Cool, all right.
I mean, I'll go and get another beer.
Yeah, all right. Well, I might get a little.
We can keep talking about key changes.
Yeah.
We could like, everyone's tuned in to watch us chop up breaks, and now we're talking about key changes.
Sorry, people. This is punk, yeah, in action.
But I am sort of like, I almost want to sort of like bring people together and sort of say, like, everyone go and listen to songs that have famous key changes in them.
Call to action.
And work out where the key change is happening and see if it's all the same key change, if it's the same interval from one to another. I'm going to get a beer.
Yeah, Sleeper Vians. We'll just stay until. The thing is, my microphone's under my jumper, so to move around, I have to like disconnect it. So, but yes. See, listen to Cardiacs. I can't say I have Cardiacs. See if Ned Whitney Houston Bodyguard. Oh yeah, yep. That's got a great one at the end where she just steps up. It's almost like a tone up or something, or I mean, of course, it does it in like
Whitney Houston Bodyguard track.
I love Whitney, yeah.
Do you know what I found? I can't remember how or why I stumbled upon watching The Bodyguard on television. The screenplay is written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote The Empire Strikes Back.
There we go. Knowledge. Is it good? I've never seen it. I'm just gonna get my.
The Bodyguard. No, I didn't. I didn't watch the rest of it. But...
I can't reach my mints from where I'm stood, so I'm just gonna have to unplug my mic, people. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Whitney Houston, like, I think that sort of like 80s kind of, I don't want to say diva, but like that kind of 80, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, they're all about the key changes, aren't they?
Yeah, you have to hold it just for me a second there while I pop to Lou.
Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to this live stream, which is not brought to you by me, but I'm going to be holding the fort for a few minutes whilst we have an intermission. So I'm listening. Ask me anything you want. I'm probably not going to answer any of it. Penny Lane, has that got a good key change? Wow, ROTJ. Do you mean Return of the Jedi? Has that got a good key change? Have you ever tried to make your own breaks? I like boomerang break. What's the boomerang break? I'm not too sure about that. But yes, I have tried to make my own breaks. I've sampled myself playing the drums, and sometimes they come out all right, and sometimes they don't. How many key changes in a song are possible? Well, all of them. I remember Kasdan did Empire Strikes. I don't think Kasdan did Return of the Jedi, did he? I know that he did The Force Awakens, but he did Raiders of the Lost Ark as well. So I'm being a bit of a film nerd now. So back to how many key changes in a song are possible. I remember hearing about this thing that Frank Zappa did in the 80s, I think, where he scored all the rhythms. But he invited all the musicians to play whatever notes that they want, but they have to play it on the rhythms that are specified on the stave. So that could have possibly been a lot of key changes, or perhaps no key at all.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of the stuff. A lot of contemporary music is key. The score is written without any key,
right?
Because it's kind of atonal in its, so essentially the key could be anything at like any measure really.
Yeah, it sort of opens up a lot of. Will Indiana Jones 5 be any good? No.
Yes, it will.
Yes, no.
He says it won't. I think it will. But
well, Spielberg's not doing it, is he? But. Isn't it time to put all that stuff away now? Just leave it in the past. Make some new things.
Come up with new stories, new ideas.
Oh yeah, Richard Marquand was Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
This is the book. I've got the book, but that's a really good theory book if anyone's looking for one. It's nice and thin. It's not too intimidating, and it's got nice illustrations. And if you're looking to learn about rhythm or about modulations, like chord changes we were just talking about, Ned, I'd recommend this.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick it up. Yeah.
Tonality and modulation. It's a nice little intro thing. It's got a little modulation wheel there that you can use, as kind of touched on by Alan.
I think there's a YouTube channel I quite like. I think it's called 12 Tone. Do you know 12 Tone?
Yeah.
On YouTube. That's a really good kind of, that's the one. Yeah, like really good nerdy music theory channel.
Yeah, that's kind of like a compositional, 12 tone composing. I don't really understand it, but that's where that comes from. You know, like composing by writing a 12 tone arrangement of the semitones. You know, like, and in any, I do a poor explanation, so I won't. But yeah, like. I won't go any further, but that's all quite mad, that stuff, and I still don't really understand it. But like Schoenberg and all that 20th century stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
digging that.
Like I said, there's a huge amount of stuff that I'm still, I don't really. I mean, like a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, I really just started getting into Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
And just being kind of like, I can't keep up with this. It's like free jazz, but for emotions. it's just like how on I and I've listened to like every Venetian Snares album.
Yeah, man.
But like I listened to like some Rachmaninoff, and I was just like, oh my god, what on earth is going on here? I can't even begin to sort of. And it like if you kind of distance yourself, I mean, a lot of the stuff, the stuff I prefer is the more orchestral stuff. Mm-hmm. But I also listen to a lot of piano stuff, and if you kind of distance yourself from the piano stuff, I don't mean distance yourself like keep away from it. I mean just kind of listen to it in the distance.
Yeah,
like almost like in another room. It's just this kind of like these flurries. Of like, it's just like this cloud.
Yeah.
And it's just constantly moving, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, totally. Like there's no music off limits to me. Like I like classical, and I'm just fascinated by every aspect of music wherever I find it. Really, whether it's throat singing or like the harmonic series or Rachmaninoff or whatever, or country music or donk or whatever.
I think it's just sort of like I have this conversation with lots of people, and it's just about people's decisions, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
just like you just kind of think, why did you do that? And that's sort of like I suppose this is a bit of a flashback because we were kind of talking about this earlier, weren't we? But it's when you kind of hear that and it's really hard to unhear it.
Yeah.
And I like that, and that's like I wouldn't be so far up my arse to say that like my standards are quite high, but it does take quite a lot to grab my attention in that way, and often like it is sometimes like classical music and jazz and stuff like that kind of makes me go, whoa, why did you I mean you go and listen to like, I mean we could pick like a really obvious jazz example of like So What by Miles Davis, and like after like the first however many bars it just goes up a semitone.
Like,
yeah. Why did you so
yeah, like, and the creative, I'm just looking at keeping an eye on the chat. Someone did you cover Pace Breaker's comment about breaks, making your own breaks?
I did a little bit, yeah. I sort of I've recorded myself on the drums. I mean, assuming that's what they meant, you can easily take like some drum loops and chop them up, like really microscopically
Yeah.
via the transients and then layer them up and make something kind of new out of it.
Yeah.
I took that more as like just recording myself play the drums.
Yeah.
And it's you know, for me, it's kind of like the fun thing about doing it in the context of using them for breaks later is that it doesn't matter if I don't play very good, because I'm going to speed them up anyway.
And you're going to chop them up anyway, yeah.
Chop them up and speed them up, and it will sound great. So,
yeah, because I remember you did a video like where we actually saw your drum kit and stuff. Do you remember that one? Yeah, and like then I think you used like some, you used like some Michael Shepp's omni-channel thing on it, and you like that you just bought new, and I don't think you couldn't get it sound any good. You know, for whatever reason, it just like.
What? Some what? Sorry.
Michael, like you had a new Waves plugin. The Michael Shepp's, he's like a mix engineer.
Yeah.
Omni-channel it was called, and you weren't having much luck with it on the day, I seem to remember.
No, I remember now. That's actually a really, really good plugin.
I'm sure, yeah.
But it's just not really for me. But like I think that like, yeah, you know, the kind of dream channel strip is always something I have a little bit of a casual hankering towards. I mean, I bought like a DBX mic preamp for this microphone.
Yeah.
But, you know, these things come about like the 500 series format for channel strips. I just look at it, I just think, oh, I could get into that.
Yeah, totally. Like I would, all that stuff makes a bit more sense to me now. You know, like, and actually, like over time, as your ear does attune more to these things, you know, things like a really nice compressor EQ or a channel strip, you know, as like the circuitry it's going through, the converters and everything. You know, that stuff does become a bit more like what, because you realise all that stuff is a bit like. They're subtle effects, and like compression and EQ aren't always meant to be like really aggressive, and they can be. Do you know what I mean? But like also they can like it's like the 10% difference, you know. And if you didn't know what you were listening for or weren't used to it, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Do you know what I mean? But like I don't know if you know what I'm getting at. I suppose it's like a difference in, you know, the difference in fidelity or character you might get from something like that. I'm just looking at Alan's comment about swung amens. Can we talk about?
Oh yeah, we never. That was what we started with, and then we never.
I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, carry on.
No, I was going to say, like, sort of, you know, like just whilst we're on the topic of like compressors and EQs and stuff, like it's. I went through a phase of thinking to myself like, yeah, I need to get those things.
Yeah.
And then sort of very quickly I kind of thought, what's the point? Because really, at the end of the day, it's all the same technology. Like every compressor and every is essentially doing the same technology. However, there are some that are classics for a reason, because they're just meticulously, you know, built to do a certain thing. So the Pultec is a good example. The LA2A is a good example. Yeah. It's just like you turn up the you know, the peak limiting on an LA2A, and it just sounds good, and that's why it's always been a really good compressor.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like it's like you can get a free compressor on the internet that does everything that a compressor can do, and yet the one that kind of you just turn one knob up is the one that costs the most amount of money. Yeah. It's like it's so the spinal tap of compression.
I think like because often I just use the glue compressor actually, and I sometimes think I'm in the market for another mastering compressor. I got the soft like, so anyone on that's into soft, I think there's a deal. No, the deal should be on still. It's the what they called the Plugin Alliance have given away. Did you see that giveaway, Ned? They give like the Shadow Hills mastering compressor and stuff was given away.
No.
Yeah, so because they I'd have to activate.
Oh, this is like a Fairchild
uh,
emulator.
Yes.
Maybe.
I won't do that in case I have to put my. It's actually like, I think the Shadow Hills compressor looks like that, and it is. I've seen them in real life, but they gave away a whole host of. Okay, why don't you let me do that now? Then go away. Okay. Click to activate. Now I'm stuck in like. Don't know what's going on here, but yeah, they gave.
You're stuck in authentication land.
Is it here? It's here. It's because it wants me to do this. Quit. Yeah, but so that was normally like 250 quid or something, but it's because they've merged with Native Instruments. They've given away a load of their classic plugins, including the black box, and like this thing as well was normally like 250 quid or something. Like I don't know if anyone can see that on here, the blacked out bit. I have got the license, but it's just like it's like a saturation thing. But these were like hundreds of pounds before on the master desk thing. But then I kind of know what I'm going to get when I use like the glue compressor. I know how it works. I know how it sounds.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially, it's all the same technology and it's all the same modeling. I mean, the glue compressor is clearly modeled on like the SSL master bus.
Yeah.
Compressor, it even looks like that. And it's kind of like they all kind of do the same thing, really.
Totally.
And I went through that phase of just like, I did get a Waves. I did buy a Waves plugin that was like an SSL channel strip, thinking, yeah, this is gonna make everything sound really good.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you got the EQ8 up there, and like the EQ8 is a very, very, very good contender to the Fab filter.
Yeah.
Like it's nearly the same thing.
Yeah. Like
They
all do. No, I totally agree. I think like for EQs and compressors, yeah, like Joe Chapman said about the full price, because they have these things on sale constantly, and they drop. I mean, anyone that pays full price, like I might have done, well, yeah, you've been mugged off. Yeah, like EQ and compression, like I think there is a certain amount of character potentially added in. Like, but this is the thing, you see things on YouTube, or I certainly have seen things in the past where people have said, you get comments like, I don't like to boost with EQ8, comments like that, and it's like, how honestly can you tell the difference between something that's been boosted in Fab Filter and that's been boosted in, I think all this stuff like just paralyzes people from actually making music.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I suppose it's kind of like an audio file sort
Probably.
of mentality of I mean, there are. In fact, I'm thinking now of a guy who's one of my patrons actually, and he's a mastering engineer. And he I think if he's watching, I better make sure I get this right. But I think he was doing a lot of his mastering in Ableton using stock plugins.
Yeah.
And he was modeling. We had this really great conversation. We got into this really deep conversation about the EQ curve of the Pultec, and like why that there's like a boost there and a cut here, and it was like super nerdy. I was really into it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
He managed to recreate the curve of the Pultec EQ just using Ableton stock stuff and macros, and just kind of like, well, if you need to, if you're going to do a boost here and a cut here, you're going to need to attenuate and boost the levels here. So you need to do that. And it came out sound, and I did like a quick A/B test with using my Native Instruments Pultec emulation, and it was the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
So
I think it comes back and I think a lot of what you're aiming to achieve with these things, certainly if you're mixing things, you maybe not at the creative stage where you're trying to really sculpt something strangely, or but like when you're maybe making elements sit well in a mix together, is that really you can take it you should be thinking about that compositionally rather than mix wise, for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like really it's in arrangement and your choice of instruments. And more so, I know you were talking about the 101 earlier on, where it is a bit of a different kettle of fish because it's a real world instrument.
Yeah, I've always kind of, whenever I kind of like look at mixing, I kind of just think like there's 5 things I need to be concerned about.
Yeah.
And it's like the lows.
Yeah.
The kind of like low mids.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they're all it's a spectrum.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like
Simplify it. Yeah. Oh no, go on.
Yeah, it's like I completely agree. It is. Yeah, and like not
it's
every.
Like yeah.
Not everything work like, and if things in different keys have different sensitive frequency areas and stuff like that, and it's music essentially, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not static and it varies, and you have to kind of do your best to balance all these elements as best you can across a dynamic piece of music without ruining its space and dynamic range.
Yeah. It's like things ultimately. I mean, it really depends on the type of. It really depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like if you, the way that I approach it is that actually, I've made all kinds of fucking god awful noise on YouTube, but fundamentally, when I work on something, it kind of needs to sound nice.
Yeah.
And it kind of needs to sit into this sort of like category of like lows, low mids, high mids, highs.
Yeah.
And like, when you can kind of look at it like that, and you can identify where those things are, then mixing actually becomes quite easy and quite intuitive.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, this is a hi-hat. There is absolutely no need for any low frequencies to be in this hi-hat. I'll high pass it until it doesn't, it's like that thing of like, that's like one of the good things I got from like that Warren Hewitt channel.
Yeah.
Was that like you keep going until you can just about start hearing that it sounds different.
Yeah.
And then you come back a little bit.
Yeah. That's exactly how I do it. Yeah.
It's the same with the compressor. Like if you can start to hear the compressor sounding like it's changing it, you've gone too far. Come back. And it really depends on the type of stuff that you're making. If you're making like a free jazz noise thing, who gives a fuck? No one's gonna criticize. I don't think you've mixed that dial-up modem sound quite right, actually. I'm dismissing your art.
It sounded like you could push the compressor too much on that thing. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think you were wrong to cut at 20 hertz on that toaster sound.
Yeah,
so it's all about it's all context, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And I think that it's like any other part of the process. Like you get better at it the more you do it, and the more you mix your own music, and the more you hear it in your car, on your earbuds, in a club, wherever, in front of other people. It all gives you feedback that you can then put back into which is why I think it's important to finish music and get it to that point if you are interested in finishing music, because until you've mixed it and done all that stuff, until you've got to a point where you want to do a mix and then you've tested it, you don't have any information about your process, you know, until you go through that horrible period where you're like, this sounds like dog shit, this is crap, I went too heavy on the saturation, you know, it sounds harsh, all that horrible stuff you have to go through, you know. Like, no one starts out knowing how to do it, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not...
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like, you know, sort of like listening to, like, I mean, I guess, you know, these guys are probably all pretty old now, but like, I love listening to like interviews with like old engineers from like the 70s and the 80s and stuff, and like sort of hearing about how they kind of got into it, and, you know, that sort of old fashioned model of like, well, you know, I just made the tea.
Yeah.
Or I just plug stuff in, and then suddenly they're like, and it's all just kind of like, yeah, again, it's all just sort of watching other people's sort of decisions, and like, there's something quite, there's something I quite like about that sort of old fashioned kind of like, this is a kick drum, this is in this frequency, therefore I'm going to boost it and cut it here.
Yeah.
That's just what you do.
Yes.
You know, and there's something about having that kind of like knowledge and that skill set that I kind of admire in some ways, that like people are just able to sort of just identify things and go, yep, okay, this is a vocal, we need to do a cut here and a boost here or whatever, and it just comes out sounding really good, and like I don't have those skills at all.
I think, yeah, it's like I guess that's why mix engineers always often come across as nice people, because they've often got to be responsible for dealing with a band and other musicians, you know, and they can kind of bring the whole thing together. But then it's also like, it's like an overarching vision and vision for the sound of how you want the record to sound at the end of it, isn't it? You know, like but then, so like stuff on mode 2 and lager, rinse, repeat, are you mixing that? You mix that down?
I mixed that, yeah. I didn't do the mastering, but I mixed it, yeah.
Yeah, because like the mastering makes a huge difference, you know, if you get it, but like if because then really all you need to do is get a nice balance, isn't it? And maybe you want to process a few bits here and there and stuff, and get a space and all that stuff. But
then the guy who did mode 2, Aaron, I don't know how he pronounces it, but he's over in Texas, and he's like a friend of mine, and you know, I chatted with him for a little bit, like leading up to it, but only because I had these like sort of doubts about it, because what I did was that like I got these like really nice Focal 8-inch monitors, and they're fucking loud. They're so loud, they're terrifying, and I'm almost scared to use them. But I did the final mixes on it, and the sub bass was just phenomenal. And then I did a bounce, and then I listened to it in my car, and there was no sub bass at all. It was gone, and I was like, all of them sound thin and shit.
Yeah. So
I wrote to him, and I was like, is there anything that you can do to the low end? Like, can you saturate it slightly so that the sub kind of superimposed into smaller speakers? And you know, he did a great job. But like, I think like it's sort of like, I don't know. I was having a conversation with this the other day with someone. It's like, if it sounds good when it's mixed, why does it even need mastering, other than just making sure that it's the same level as everything else on the track? If you're making an album and you want everything to be at the same level, that's really all you're doing. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's a science and an art for sure. And I admire people who are good at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that 10%, isn't it? I think it's like your track, like it should already sound pretty good before it goes to mastering, I think. And then really that should come back, and it's like, it sounds great, but like to pick apart the details, you're probably talking about the final 10-15% of the mix. And I think like if you're just starting making music and putting music out there, or you're getting held back by the concept of having to go through this process, it's like just put it out as it is, because it's better to just release your music as best with as best a mixing job as you can muster, than to like just hold on to it, I think, or not do anything with it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like the only reason why I ever think about getting anything mastered is because probably my final mixes of each of the tracks are not evenly balanced.
Okay, yeah.
So like, you know, when I listen to an album that I really like, it's not like I have to suddenly turn it down or turn it up.
Yeah.
Because it's all perfectly at the right level. And that's kind of that's really what I want from you know, a master.
Yeah, totally.
Smooth listening experience. I could do it myself, but like the thing is, when you get so deep into a mix, it's really hard to keep on top of that. Like you can't be mixing a track thinking, well, maybe you can, I don't know, but like I don't think about mixing a track thinking how this is going to sound next to another track. You can think about those things. You've just got to be thinking like, right, does this track work? Okay, it's fine. Print it. It's only when you listen to it like to another track that you kind of go, oh fuck, I've mixed that like so quiet, or this one's too loud. And then get someone else to do it.
Yeah, totally. It's like, I think, especially if you're releasing it through a label or something, they would do that anyway. They would often want to have that, they'd have their own mastering, and like certainly if you're just putting it on Spotify yourself, or you're just wanting to send it to DJs or labels or whatever, then you can just, I tend to just do the same thing every time as I mix it as well. So I kind of just mix it into my master bus. Like I kind of mix it, then put something on put my stuff on the master bus, and then kind of tweak everything a bit. But yeah, consistency across the release. Like it would be a bit of a gamble probably if I my stuff probably wouldn't be consistent. But
yeah, it would be. I mean, like when I first started out, and I was just like releasing tracks on CDs to friends. Yeah, I just used to put all the tracks in Cool Edit and normalize them all. And then that was it.
Yeah.
And even like listening, and because I used to bounce things to, I say bounce, but like I used to record things to mini disc.
Yeah.
And I've got all those mini discs, and I listen to them, and like like some of them are like so quiet.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah,
but I mean, really, you've just, you know, if you're going to do it yourself, just don't go above -1 dB. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Be fine.
Yeah. I think it's just because it's something like that people get paralyzed about sometimes, or at least I did. This was my experience, and it seems like I'm not alone if I talk to other people about, you know, everyone struggles with mixing. Everyone, you know, even like people who do this shit for a living completely, you know, like, you know, even full-time producers and stuff like that. The mixes are probably better than they were before they were doing that, but it's hit and miss every time. And sometimes you can get to a point in a track and you are mixing and you're like, this is shit, it's just not working. And it's usually because the track wasn't up to it, I've found.
Yeah, I mean, it can make such a difference. Like, I mean, yeah, if a track is really good, it almost doesn't really. It
doesn't need it. Yeah,
don't worry about it. It's just like this fucking bangs.
Yeah, man.
And like
this will bang whatever you do to it, you know.
Yeah, whatever's going to happen now, it's not going to change it. It just bangs, and then it's. Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing. Getting back to the SH-101, like I've been trying to work on these tracks, and like, you know, when I record all these parts in and I listen to it, and I'm just like, it sounds awful. It's not because the mix is awful. It's because what I recorded was awful.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that. Do you know that tune Heartbroken, is it? by T2. It was like a bit of a bass line track, yeah. Back in like the early noughties or something. It's quite good. People might know it. Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like it's got like a kind of it's like speed garage really, bassline house type thing, and it's got this kind of chopped up vocals. I think it was just made by some guy in his bedroom, and like it's not well mixed or anything, and it sounded just like it had come out of someone's door, but it was you know, it fucking banged like you said. So and you could, and I saw people like dancing to that tune, you know, and it kind of slaying dance floors and stuff like that because it was just a good concept, you know. It worked as a piece of music before that. Just looking at Sleep of Eons. When do you both consider?
We've got a lot of stuff going on in the chat.
We have.
I would love to hear compression properly. I'm just a dumb guitar player. From Alan. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at, was that like it's sort of it's like when you can see, you know, we're back here with this kind of like seeing versus listening, but like when you can see that the compressor is working, but you can't hear the difference, that kind of means it's working.
Yeah.
And but like it's sort of like, you know, you know, in the old days, the compressor was designed to sort of like accommodate for sudden, unexpected dynamic changes.
Yeah.
But like in the 21st century, it's kind of used more creatively. So you've got that kind of like side chaining, pumping house French thing, you know, from like the late 90s and all that sort of stuff. And it sort of seems to be like it's kind of one of those things where like you need to be concerned about it. You do need to be concerned about it, but it really depends on the context. If you're using like a sample of a drum loop that's off a record, someone has already taken care of that.
Yeah.
Like you don't really need to worry about it. Just play it as it is because it's been mixed and compressed. So, I mean, I struggle with it all the time. Like, you know, I talk on YouTube and I'm very concerned about how the compression on my voice comes out so that I can go very close and very far away and it still be at the same level and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I've really answered Alan's question.
I kind of like sometimes, no, I think you did, definitely. It's good, like, I think, like just take the Amen or something as an example. I'm just going to gain stage it a bit so it's not too. But like sometimes I like to just go really, really heavy-handed with it, and then listen to how I might sculpt the attack and release. Do you know what I'm, so? I mean, with the Amen, you probably want to slam it a little bit, but you can hear how the transient is like smeared out when you adjust the attack and release.
Yeah.
And also that is okay. Drums are a bit easier to hear compression on than other, because certain things like pads and stuff you don't want to. I find it's kind of like it's the more percussive sounds with a bigger dynamic range change between the transient and the sustain release, whatever. So it sounds like that where you might want to think about compression, because there can be big transient differences in those sounds, and that's really where it comes into its own, and why you use it on the master, because there is dynamic range. There's a lot of dynamic range between it. So sometimes that's a nice little thing, and it works well on vocals and stuff, where you do slam it and then you can maybe tweak the attack and the release. I rarely mess with the ratio too much, to be honest, but then you can kind of sculpt the sound a little bit before you maybe bring it back to taste, so it's just like 3 dB or that you're taking off, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, so sort of in that context, what you're trying to do is sort of embellish, you know, the characteristics of the source through like compressing it a certain way. And yeah, you know, so that's more like, well, I would say that that's more of a creative use of compressing it rather than a kind of like utilitarian.
Yeah. Completely
approach.
agree. Yeah. This is definitely a sound sculpting thing rather than the levels are all over the place. Because I recorded this guitar and the guitar player was like moving about a little bit when he was getting into it. So I want.
Yeah.
You know, one of my best favorite analogies for it is like you could do the same thing with automation and a fader as you could with a compressor, because that's all it's doing. Like, it's just an automated volume thing. You know.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't sound the same because it'd be, you know, you'd have to be incredibly painstaking doing that. But that's all it's doing is like it's an automated volume fade. There's gain reduction based on certain parameters that are set that you then pull the gain up of the overall sound, and that's why it says you reduce the dynamic range, because you do pull up everything else that's not been hit by the compressor. But yeah, again, it's definitely a creative use there, rather than fixing a poorly recorded guitar.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, I'm always like slamming stuff. I'm always like slamming a compressor and stuff.
We know, man. Yeah.
I want everything to be this consistently thick level.
Yeah.
So that then I can choose where it sits.
Yeah.
In the mix. Like, you know, I might be doing it wrong. I don't know, but when I look at a mix, I kind of want everything to be the same volume, and then I'm gonna determine how loud it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes I look at sort of mixes like, and it's like, you know, the fade is at 0, but the audio is peaking at like -24, and I'm like, I wouldn't have the first idea about how to gain stage that or mix that.
Yeah.
Because and you know, a lot of people don't even really mix with the faders, and they do all this kind of like utility gain automation, and they do their stuff there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Like maybe that's a good way to do it. I don't know, but
no, I do I gain stage everything to like -18 if it needs to be. You know, if it's something like a hi-hat loop, where I don't. It depends it really depends on what you're doing with it. You know, like if you're going to affect it pre-fader, then you might want to think about gains. Then gain staging does matter, because you will get like you will get distortion that you might not want. You might want it. I don't know. I mean, like there is no wrong or right. I think ultimately.
No, and especially you know, when you get into like the realms of avant-garde electronic music.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is where stuff like this comes into its own. You know, when you don't want it to sound like a Ronan Keating record. You know, it's not supposed to sound like that. It's not supposed to sound like Adele or Lewis Capaldi.
When you say no.
You know, it's not supposed to sound like a really slick, polished chart production necessarily. You might want that. I mean, it's, you know,
you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that watching either mine or your
no
YouTube channel.
No, sorry. This is not. Yeah, like I think a lot of the music I make, you can just tell it's pushed. It's pushed, and like jungle, the bass is the loudest thing because it's just mixed louder than anything else. You know.
Yeah.
It's because the 808 is like fucking loud. That's why it sounds loud. That's why it like fills the mix, is because it's louder than everything else. Like if you listen to a lot of jungle, it's like when the sub kicks in, it just flattens everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like Sleep of Eons touched on like when do you both consider a song done, or do you just get tired of working on it and call it, or do you work till it feels right?
I'm just going to go for a quick piss, and then I'll address this.
Okay.
When I come back, because I can see that there's a huge amount of activity in the chat. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Enjoy that. So I hope everyone is in. We're 3 hours 15 minutes in, and I think maybe last few questions, and I will have to wrap up because I do have to do the school run in the morning. That is how we roll here, dad life. But yeah, it's just. I think people do often reach for compression when they'd be better. Exactly, they'd be better off saturating it, Joe. I think it's probably what they're after, rather than, you know, often it's just a volume thing for me. It's just not. It's a loudness thing. Dad life, yeah. Plus clippers, yeah. There's that Kazrog clipper which I'm always lusting over a little bit. That looks nice. That they do some nice plugins. K-clip, that's supposed to be good. If you really want to push your masters, get them super loud. I think that clipper's pretty cool. Not necessarily on an individual track, you might want that on tracks. I think it's similar to a limiter. I don't really understand how it works, but so yes, well, it feels quite lonely now. He's gone to the toilet. Bathymetrics, cool, I'll check that out. Yeah, I really liked Recording Revolution and Produce Like a Pro that Ned was chatting about as well. Clip to 0, cool. Yeah, you like the Kazrog? Yeah, it looks. I did the trial on some mixes. This was when I didn't really know how to mix before, just wanting everything to sound super loud. So, you know when you're at that point where you're like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing in the mix, so I'll just make the master sound as loud as possible. That kind of thing, and then because one thing that's quite good on. I don't know if you should be able to see it on my master bus actually, but I'm often looking at kind of the metering on here as to, and particularly for like maybe jungle or bass heavy things, the sub bass is going to be, you really kind of want that floating between 0 and -6. I find if you're making something that's perhaps more like a Kraftwerk tune or something that's got more dynamic range, and you don't necessarily want the bass to just flatten everything else, then that's probably not going to be the case, and you can probably mix with a lower RMS value overall and like master with a low, because there's more dynamic range than something like jungle where it can just be the sub flattens everything else. But yeah, so I've got lots of thoughts on things being finished, and it would be interesting to see what. Oh, are you back? You're back. Good.
I'm back.
You're back.
What was the question?
So, Sleeper Vians, when do you both consider a song done, or do you just get tired of working on it and call it, or do you work till it feels right? What do you do, Ned?
Yeah.
Bit of everything.
It's that's a very deep. That's a deep one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, like earlier on we were sort of saying, like, if the mix just like slams, it slams.
Yeah.
Then there's nothing else that you need to do. And there's been plenty of times when I've sort of worked on something in maybe like 4 hours and it's just come out sounding great. And I've listened to it over and over and over again. But I've always been thinking, oh, I need to do more with it. And then I do more with it. And then what I actually settle on doesn't sound as good as that raw kind of 4 hour version or whatever. So it's a tricky one because it's quite easy to sort of think, I need to put more, I need to do more, this needs more, it needs more.
Yeah.
But I just kind of think if you can listen to something that you've made all the way through and not cringe and not suck air in through your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
then it's done.
Yeah.
Like, it might be missing something, but if you're listening to it all the way through, and also I kind of think like if you can put something on in the background and just do something else, like don't listen to it, just put it on in the background, do something else, do the washing up, I don't know, just do something else. And if nothing grabs your attention, nothing kind of makes you go, oh fuck, what's that?
Yeah.
Then it's fine, it's done.
Yeah.
And it is, but it is like, it is a tricky thing to navigate, isn't it? Like, is my song finished?
I think it's like what's needed is like a change in terminology and mindset around the whole process, like, and that maybe you should never think of a piece of music as being finished or done or ever use those words again. I mean, of course there is that point.
No, it's just abandoned.
Yeah, it's almost like there will always be something you can change. There will always be something you think you can improve. And also, every time you hear your own music, your opinion is different. Even if like the last time you heard it, you were like, the mix is sick, the tune is sick, the master sounds amazing, I've listened to it here and I love it, it's the best. There will come one listen where you're like, nah, something was wrong with this. I was silly to be that confident that I had it right.
Yeah, but like, you know, that's just you. Like, people are gonna listen to it and just think it's great.
Yeah. Also, you're not meant to listen to enjoy your own music, really. I think that's for other people to do. Like.
Yeah, that's a funny one, isn't it?
Yeah, one has the rights.
That's a funny one as well.
Yeah.
It's like I don't listen to a lot of my own music. In fact, I don't really listen to any of my own music at all.
Not when it's out there. Yeah.
The ones that I do listen to are the ones where I'm a little bit like, how did that happen? Like how? Oh, that was all right. That was fine. It's like there are some that I won't listen to because I'm just like, oh no, I can't listen to that because I could have done so much more.
Yeah.
You know, or that just sounds awful or whatever. And like sometimes you've just got to accept that, like, you made a decision, move on to the next thing. Always be ahead of yourself. Always like have things like lined up what you're going to do next, you know. And it's kind of like a thing that I've said to people about dealing with like criticism with like your work, is that, like, you know, it can get to a point, you know, you can start to love your music, and then the more that you work on it, you can almost sort of start to hate it.
Yeah. Totally.
Then you get rid of it, and then you put it behind you, and then when anyone says anything to criticize it, you're kind of like, I really don't care, because everything that you've said, I've said to myself a gazillion times before you even heard it. And I'm actually more concerned about this now. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
So you've got to always have like things, you know, just look forward to things, I think.
Yeah, that's why I work on loads of tracks at the same time, because I forget what they all sound like and what I've done to each of them. And there's always, like, the best tune is the one I'm working on next. Do you know what I mean? It's none of the things I've done so far. Even though some people might say, you know, that some people might have a song of mine or a piece of mine that they really are into and they think it's the best thing I've ever done. But to me, it's just like, they're all it's just a wake of failures, essentially. Or like failures that kind of made it over the finish line. There's like, yeah, it is like that, isn't it? Really, sometimes. I mean, like, and you're probably the worst person to gauge whether your stuff is finished or not. Like, it's kind of insanity, really, when you think about it. You create all of it. You're asked to kind of create this stuff and do something interesting and do all these things demanded of a musician, and then you're also tasked with critiquing it and then putting that feedback into like decisions to make about the piece of music. It's kind of like madness, really, when you think about it. you know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why you need to sort of like, if your motivation is that you want to share your work with other people,
Yeah.
then, you know, you've got to be pretty prepared
Yes.
to accept that like someone's going to say that was shit.
Yeah.
And if you're not if you're not prepared for that, then that can be quite damaging.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't even really know if this is even a healthy sort of thing to say, but like, if you kind of if you're kind of prepared to say to yourself that your stuff is shit, no one who says it's shit is going to ever damage you.
Yeah.
And like, it's important when you're a creative person, because people are going to roast you. They're going to say your stuff is fucking crap.
Yeah,
especially
man.
if you want, your motivation is that you want people to hear it and you want to have some success or remuneration, you know, if you want to make money or whatever, like, you know, it's, you know, you've got to kind of deal with that. So in many ways, it's almost kind of like you sort of have to distance yourself.
Yes.
From your own stuff.
Yeah, you can't attach yourself. You can't attach your own self-worth to it, and the more you do it, the less you do. I find, like, over time, I care about my music less. What I do care about is that I like to sound a bit Elizabeth Gilbert. I show up and I do the work. That's the only thing I'm bothered about. You know, is that I am maintaining a music practice and that I am doing things that make me feel uncomfortable, and then everything else that happens is just a bonus, really, a crap bonus, you know. And if people are into it, that's amazing. If they're not, then I'll keep doing it. Nothing's going to stop, you know, because that's the only thing I can control, really. Yeah, you can
Good.
like all you can
Great
do.
Words.
Thanks, man. Thanks. All you can control is like your practice, isn't it? Ultimately, everything else is a gamble. But yeah, that's so. I think it's like I have quite a strict process. Things just get finished because I sit down to do it every day. Eventually, they get taken so far, and I'm like, well, I've lost interest with that, so it's probably done now. You know, like you said, abandoned.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like I actually picked that up from George Lucas. Actually,
I heard that from Da Vinci.
Right, maybe he got it from Da Vinci then, so it's like art is never finished; it's always abandoned.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, like George Lucas is a great example because he's sort of someone who famously has tinkered with his own work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to whilst also sort of trying to sell the technology that he was able to do that with. But like, yeah, it's sort of like, I mean, I'm kind of going through that right now in some ways, because like some of the tracks that I'm working on right now, I'm working on because I'd actually already made them, but they were on a hard drive that died.
Right.
So in 2010 or 2011 or something, I lost a hard drive. A hard drive died that had like so much stuff on it, so many like great ideas on it. But some of them I've still got in my brain, so I can recreate them, unfinished things or whatever. It's not quite the same thing, but like, you know, they were probably finished. They were probably finished. And now what I'm doing is trying to chase after that. Chasing after this dream of like deleted finished things or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you kind of like music's a funny example, really, because like people are like, well, I like this is how it sounds at the moment, but I want it to sound like this, and it's like, yeah, but that isn't real. Like, what you're listening to is real. You know, the thing in your head, the vision, the whatever, the idea of the perfect track is never going to happen. That will never exist. You know, it is always something you're chasing to attain. And really, you need to get comfortable with knowing you'll never get where you want to go, you know, and you'll always end up somewhere different. And that's the beauty of art and the creative process, I think.
I think like really you've just got to make a thing, get rid of it, move on to the next thing, and just keep getting better.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I think maybe that could be because we're 3.5 hours in now, and I have the school run to do quite early in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love
Cool,
to.
man.
I would love to stay on, and I think maybe if we end the stream and then we'll wrap up off stream.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone for tuning in.
Yeah.
Cheers, Alan.
Yeah. Cheers,
Let's
Alan.
catch up soon, Alan.
Pacebreaker, Joe, Sleeps of Sleep of Ears. I think these guys are still on. Beat Specific, Lucian, Christian. Did I say already? Yeah, I think these guys have been in for the home stretch.
I heard someone compare it to letting a kid go off into the world as a parent.
It is, you know, the song will do its own thing.
But I can imagine that, yeah.
They've got to live their own life, you know.
Well, it's kind of like this thing of like, once you share something with the world, it's not actually yours anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not. So
really, was it ever yours, you know?
Well, yeah. So it's like you've got to kind of like be prepared to, you know, to cope with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for some people it's a little bit of a challenge, and that's understandable. But like for me, I'm just like I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I
like it. All right, fine. Do something else.
I've one experiment just before or one experiment I like to do is seeing what I can get away with. That's another cool thing to try. So like, see what you can get away with. If you think you can get away without having to do a thing, or putting a track out that you know isn't finished, whatever that means, that then people might love it, and then it gives you feedback that like maybe I didn't need to work as hard, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or actually, this is quite easy.
Yeah.
This is actually quite easy. Why am I obsessing about this so much?
Yeah.
Actually, I can just do this and people like it. And yeah, again, it's sort of like, for me, it's going back to that thing of like that kind of 4-hour thing of like, I smashed out a track in 4 hours back like when I was younger, and I used to sort of like DJ quite a bit. And sometimes I would like drop in tracks that I'd made.
Yeah.
And sort of get the response from that. I was
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. They love it. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? It's done. It's done. So, and obviously some people would go, no, that's awful. And then they do this gesture.
Yeah, or they just leave or something, you know. Yeah. But all right, well, yeah, I think we'll wrap up there, and we'll say before we just carry on for another hour or something. So yeah, all right, I'm going to stop the stream and then it'll die off. But thanks everyone for tuning in to this mammoth stream with a man like Mr. Ned Rush. All right, and we'll probably catch you around for more shred guitar and jazz and breaks and creative chat.
Yeah.